All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hivemind Radio podcast. This is episode 6, the August recap, and what a month August was.
Oh my goodness.
For real. What a crazy ass month we have on our hands to talk about today. I know we don't have that big of an audience at this point. Who knows if this is the episode that'll kind of blow up a little bit and get more than 10 views. But we got the month ahead of us. Or we got quite the episode.
But for the 10 people who do listen,
shout out to you 10 people.
We appreciate you. That is 10 more than we had when we started. So, I'd count that as success.
And if we're not already whoring people out, remember, this is September. You can sub to Toby Con.
What the Yo,
that's a good segue.
My mom's one of the viewers.
That's a good segue. For those of you catching this later on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, any of the other streaming platforms for podcasts, we do live stream these. Usually Friday nights, twitch.tv/TobyCon. Thanks to Jacob for live streaming these for us. Yeah, so if you aren't catching it live, it'll be up on streaming platforms. But if you are interested in watching it live, feel free to come hop in. August. Let's just start by saying this is the most amount of music we are ever going to have talked about in a podcast episode. This month is crazy.
The playlist is 9 hours.
Hey, what about the December top 10?
That's true.
That won't be as long.
That's a special.
If we streamline it, it's not going to be as long.
It might be. It very well could be.
Nah, it's if we can get Derek to shut up.
Hey, look. I think it really depends on how many of our albums are going to line up. Because, if we all got stuff that's coinciding with each other, we can just talk about it. Mm-hmm. But,
I have a idea for that, but we'll talk about that closer to the time.
Yeah, that's still a couple months away. For now, let's focus on August, as I've already said 3 times now.
We'll get there.
Before we get into individual singles and all the albums, let's overall thoughts on in comparison to the rest of the year. Was August the best release month of the year?
Started out strong, ended out strong. Middle of the month, kind of lackluster.
Yeah, this is definitely a top 3 month of the year.
It's between this and April,
guys. It's definitely a top 12 month of the year.
Oh,
yes,
true.
Sir.
True.
Yes, sir.
Very true.
Yeah, I think February, April, and this August were probably the best months.
I'm still a little upset we didn't start the podcast in April, because that would have been quite the fucking episode to start it with.
Did we not?
We started in March. We didn't do it in... Or did I say it?
Yeah, what? You mean February?
Yeah, February.
I was going to say, bro, there's no way we started in May.
Yeah.
So I remember I talked for 30 minutes about Afterburner.
Yeah, I kind of wish we started in February, because that was the triple slam of Amity, Word Alive, and Polaris. That was crazy.
Man, maybe Justin's right. Maybe I do need to shut up. I need to go back and look at the timestamp of how long I talk about things.
All right,
that might be the key. I'll just shut up for an episode and see if we can get it under an hour.
No,
I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
Look, it's a push and pull. You shut up. We won't be able to get Jacob to shut up for once.
Hello.
That's true. Maybe I'm oppressing him, suppressing him, repressing him.
Oppressing him.
Sitting on him.
Is your English dictionary still loading?
Dude, it's a struggle. I feel like we did name an episode after it, but I feel like I have a stroke at the start of every single episode. I can never compose myself.
How to Survive a Stroke is
hour.
Definitely the best episode title we have yet.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely summarizes.
Imagine some up and coming medical professional is all right, I need some help for this final, and he's looking up stuff how to provide
CPR
and shit like that. He's okay, how to help patients through a stroke, and he puts this on.
And
it's like
me go.
It's like Surgeon Simulator. You just put the vinyl just in the chest.
The thing that makes it worse is that also in the episode title is "Make Them Suffer," because we talked about that.
Exactly. Yo, our crossover into the medical community is coming.
One day.
It is fast approaching on the horizon.
All right,
one day.
Let's get started with the singles. Before we do, follow us on social media. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Hivemind Radio. Follow us new on Twitter at Hivemind Radio _. We're probably going to be more active there on Instagram since I believe all of us use Twitter more than Instagram, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that and you, it's much easier to like link accounts and shit.
Yeah.
But the Instagram is still going to be used for radio shows, which should be returning soon. I did get confirmation that I'm going to be able to start doing my radio shows again.
So he's gonna
once they can get things safe.
Yep.
No, I'm not ditching you guys.
We were a placeholder.
You were a placeholder back in March, and then I realized, oh shit, this is fun.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, let's get started with the singles. Now that I've shielded social media, Cypher Site released another single entitled "Bach." Batch? How do
I'm
I
pretty
pronounce
sure
it?
it's Bach.
It's Bach.
Like Johann Sebastian Bach? Sebastian.
So,
Close
what do
enough.
you guys think about this one? Because all I'm gonna say is like, I think we've got we've got an incredible list of singles to talk about this month, and I think this is really like the only miss. I don't really know it. Like, there's maybe one or two other arguable misses, but I think pretty much everything after this was at least like pretty good to at least
Jake,
one.
how can you say that when with confidence when fucking Solence is still in the playlist?
We are not about to diss Solence for that track, okay? I'm gonna put my foot down right now.
I'm not dissing them for the track at all. I'm just saying they're still there. We can't get rid of them.
This Cypher Site track was it definitely had a very different feel to Icon's Crown, which was back in June. And I definitely, like, since it's his solo project, I definitely get that he's probably trying to experiment with more than just, like, the typical rock sound. But it felt really underwhelming. It felt like it was just lacking, like, energy almost.
Yeah, it was very mellow and tame. And I'm all for mellow and tame music, but this felt, like, bland on top of that. Like, it was lacking personality, whereas, like, Icon's Crown, that I wasn't super high on it, but at least it was distinguishable.
It had personality. It had like circus noises and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this just feels. I've like already forgotten what this sounds like.
Yeah, I've re-listened to the song like 3 or 4 times, and I still really can't remember much from it. And I think that just about sums it up. So
yeah,
it's
only up from here.
It really is only up from here. Let's continue this train. Citizen Soldier have released yet another single, "Gunshot Lullabies."
I don't feel it all like I did when I was young.
This is the 5th single off their album, which should end at the end of the year. Gunshot Lullabies. It's not the title track. The title track actually released September. But this is probably my second favorite,
I would agree.
as opposed to Sacred. Sacred's probably still going to be the best.
I would agree that this is also my second favorite behind Mess of Me.
Mess of Me is also good. Mess of Me is my
I
favorite.
think there's a clear like top 3 between Sacred, Gunshot Lullabies, and Mess of Me. So if you liked Mess of Me, which we talked about last month, you'll probably like Gunshot Lullabies.
Oh yeah.
In particular for me,
in tone.
yeah, definitely. In particular for me, I think the chorus of the song was probably the best part of this song. But I also want to give mention to the opening, the way the song introduced with, like, I use like the orchestral like kind of feel a lot when talking about this kind of stuff, but it definitely felt like it kind of had some emotional power behind it at the beginning, and I loved it.
It's kind of taken the same kind of elements from Would Anyone Care, and kind of upping the tempo, I guess is the right word for it, like upping the tempo for it a bit, and that I much like. I don't remember the vocalist's name, but he can do really well with his voice if he emotes with it, and this definitely shows.
This is, I mean, like you touched on with Would Anyone Care? I remember mentioning that, like, I didn't care much for the delivery there because his voice lends itself to songs more like this as opposed to something that's slowed down. But, like, the message of both are very similar to each other as far as struggling with, like, mental health or whatever. And I think that this is by far the better delivery. I wanted to give a mention to one of the lyrics. I think it's at the start of the second verse. Is "It seems I've sealed my fate. My life's a canvas I will paint, the image of myself that I hate." And like the delivery on that and the way that it flowed, I wasn't. I won't say I was like blown away by it, but I certainly appreciated it.
Yep.
Impressed.
Yeah, the lyricism in this, I thought was a lot stronger than some of the other singles that have been released so far.
If you like this song, check out one of their like first like 5 singles. It's called First Blood. That is probably still their like best song in my opinion.
I still
Like
have
first
to
singles
dig
they've
deeper
ever
into
made as a band.
I still need to dig deeper into this band's discography. Once this album cycle's done, I'll probably get to that, or not.
Yeah,
I'm
so
sure.
this is their second album. The first one was very kind of slow and harmonious, like mostly songs that relate to like Would Anyone Care. So if you like Would Anyone Care, you'll probably like their first album.
Which we
Their
talked about.
first
We talked about that one in June.
Yeah, their first EP though was pretty good. Like Caroline, I think was their first EP, and that was pretty good. Just for Caroline and Buried Alive.
I think
I've listened to this band a few times.
Yeah. You're the one that introduced this band to all of us. So
Yeah,
Oops.
local citizen soldier
fanboy.
expert.
Yeah.
I will die on that hill.
All right, let's move on. Conquer Divide have come out with a new song, Chemicals. And Derek, thank you for showing me this song. I have had this
Yes,
song on replay the
sir.
entire week. This song is incredible.
Bro, I have this playlist called The Graveyard where anything that from a main playlist that I feel doesn't make the cut anymore, I throw it in there, and then every so often I'll go back through it and listen to some of the stuff and see if it deserves to, make it back in. Whether like, hey, I don't truly like this anymore, or maybe I just wasn't feeling it at the time. And back when I first got into heavy music, this was one of the first bands that I discovered on the Spotify Artist Radio for Coma by Issues. And I really, really fell in love with this band. And then I kind of fell off with them just because as I explored more and more music, I began to notice the issues with the mixing and production on the first album. But they completely solved that issue here. Their vocalist, I can't remember her name, but she sounds stronger than ever. I'm pretty sure she does both the cleans and the uncleans.
From the
I'm
music
not
video, I thought there were
positive
two
on that.
different vocalists. Like,
There
were two
may
different
be.
people.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if one person could do both of that. I would be very much blown away.
Either, like,
but no,
even then, like both of them combined, like
Mhm.
this song is still kind of blew me away.
yeah, I don't know where they got their money from, but there's some money behind this now because the production, the mixing, the instrumentation, all of it blends so well together. It's like night and day from their first album, and I was floored the first time I heard this because I wasn't expecting to see anything. I thought they kind of fell off, and I went and checked their artist page and saw they had a new single, and hearing this for the first time, I instantly fell in love.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened to me too. So even though we're talking about this at the beginning, because this released in the beginning of August, did you find it like as soon as you sent it to me? Pretty much.
Yeah, same day.
So
Same day.
yeah, Derek sent this to me at the end of August, which is why I've been saying it's been on repeat all week for me. But what the fuck was I gonna say? I don't even remember at this point. This song's incredible.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. Please do
Yeah.
yourself a favor and go stream this.
Yeah,
it's so good.
The breakdown is sick. I want to mention that.
Mm-hmm.
The chorus, I remember you saying that the chorus was like chef's kiss.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it goes like chemicals are gonna make me lose control and paranoid something.
Hey, I mean, close enough.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good synopsis.
Yeah,
We'll take it. Look,
Conquer Divide are they came back from the grave and they have started off on a very high note, so keep them on your radar.
you were gonna say something, Jacob?
Yeah, as I said, I actually did some research on this band, and I figured out that the vocalist actually did some stuff with Landon Tours.
Ooh, really?
Okay.
Yeah, I went, and then of course it's not on his Spotify.
Oh my, bro.
Unlucky, bro.
Does that project have a name? Do you know?
It was under Landon Tours solo project.
Okay, I'll investigate.
I'm pretty sure.
Did you? I assume then you got the chance to listen to this song.
Yeah.
What'd you think of it? Awesome. All right. So the three of us love it. Justin, tell me you heard this song, bro.
I didn't have a chance to.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry.
mistake.
I understand you gotta grind. I understand you gotta make that money. But this song, whatever.
This
Fuck
song-
your boss. Fuck your
song-
job. You can't listen to this song, bro.
All right, I'll listen to it while you guys talk about Trislets.
It's
This
an
song-
all-female
gonna be-
band too.
This song does not get skipped on the random shuffle playlist.
No.
This song does not get skipped.
No.
All right.
If you skip the song, you deserve to be shot. And I'm gonna hey. Yo, grandson's about to write a song about me, low-key.
Okay. All right, let's move on. I think we've said enough. Trifecta have released a new song entitled fuck, I need to pull up the Spotify playlist.
Trust issues.
Trust issues.
God damn it.
I'm trying to just go off my notes that I wrote, and I forgot.
Yeah, and I see how well it's working for you.
It
Yeah,
worked well for the
exactly.
first few. It worked well for the
See,
first few.
I can't blame you either because I always I don't abbreviate, but I'll shorten the names of the songs. Like this one's just called Trust. So if you would have asked me what it was, I would have been like,
I just write down abbreviations of the band names. So yeah,
Guys,
Trifecta has put out a new song called "Trust Issues," and I'm just gonna say they include like a "fuck it" in like the last second of the song at a really low volume.
Uh-huh.
That means I'm not gonna.
That's
be able to play
that's why it's got the explicit.
Yeah, and that means
That's the only thing.
I'm not gonna be able to play it on my radio show, and now I'm upset. So
You can just cut it. You cut it out.
yeah, that's effort. Sorry.
Well,
Trifecta.
no, if you put the Spotify fade in, you don't even hear it. Like I didn't notice it at the time, and then when I looked at the lyric video, I saw it. I was like, oh shit, they do swear in it.
So yeah, anyway, bar the last 2 seconds of this song. Justin, I think you're probably the biggest fan of the song here, so
Oh, it's so good.
take it away.
It's so good. So this is a 3-piece band. There's an instrumentalist who does all the instrumentals. The vocalist does some guitar and vocals, and then there's a I can't remember her name. I think her name's Nicole. She does all the production work. She doesn't actually like play in the band or anything. She does all the production work, and I think they just got a guy to do drums. And yeah, they have 3 songs out, I believe.
Yep.
And this is
And a
easily
cover.
their best.
And
4.
a cover, I think.
Yeah, 3 songs and a cover because they covered 11 minutes. But this is their best. They've put a song out called "Nothing at All," which was what got me into them. Incomplete was good, but I kind of fell off of it. I've been having this one on repeat since it released the same week as the Sleeves album.
Yeah, this song good.
It's
this
so
song is
good.
solid.
yeah. Like you said, this is their best single, I would say. There was one, I can't remember what word it's on the chorus because I remember you tagged me in it in Discord and I just listened to it for the first time today, so I haven't had the time to spin it a bunch. Full disclosure, I really like it. There's one note, like some word that he hits in the chorus that felt a little off to me. And I can't remember what it is. I'm looking at the lyrics on Google and I can't figure it out.
If I remember, he like did some note changes on the last chorus with like "honestly" and "what did you expect from me."
Yeah, are you talking about just simply the last chorus or the chorus in general?
No, the chorus in general. I can't remember what it is, but it's like it doesn't really even matter. It's just some nitpicky thing. That,
I think you're talking about me because what are you
Probably.
expecting of me? Because then he like kind of stops on it and his voice kind of
Yeah.
picks up a little bit there.
yeah, that like it wasn't like off-putting or anything. It caught me off guard and not in like a way that I super enjoyed it, but like overall, I still think it's a very solid song. So
Right.
it's like one complaint among 10 like praises for it. So
No, that's good.
I can't be too upset.
I'm very excited for it. They actually teased this like a couple months ago, and I'm so happy with how it turned out.
So this was the first song I had heard of them. I ended up adding what was the other one? "Incomplete" and "Nothing at All" at the same time. I didn't listen to those two nearly as much as this one, but I think that's kind of recency bias. Like when a
Oh,
new
yeah.
song comes out, you're kind of inclined to listen to the new shit more than old stuff. Yeah, this song's good. If you're a sucker for post-hardcore kind of melodic stuff, this band is going to be right up your alley.
It's so good.
I think we said enough.
One last thing before you move on.
Evidently, we have not said enough.
Yep.
I was doing research, and this just came about. They're working on an AP, so that's probably going to come out maybe at the end of the year, maybe the start of the next year.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's move on. Fit for a King. They released 2 singles this month. Let's start by talking about Locked in My Head.
Hey, did you like when everything means nothing?
Me?
Yes.
That's basically what this is. It's kind of the more lighter tone, like, because God of Fire was very melodic and heavy. This is kind of like a hard rock sort of. It's not really metal.
Yeah.
Serious octane.
Yeah, it's very
Octane
octane fueled.
Octane core.
Well,
Octane
Breaking the
Core, there you
Mirror
go.
was too, so
Yeah. But
So-
I think this is my favorite that's released besides God of Fire. God of Fire is on a whole new level.
yeah. God of Fire is definitely the first for me, followed by Locked in My Head. I'm curious, did all of us like Locked in My Head more than Annihilation, or
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all on the same page there.
All right, so I want to talk about Locked in My Head before we move on to Annihilation a little bit.
Gotcha.
So I haven't listened to anything. I got into this band with Breaking the Mirror earlier this year, and I haven't listened to anything else they've released. So this is the first time I've ever heard them do anything like this, where it's more like, as I said, octane core, and I fuck with it big time. You give me a full album that sounds like this, I ain't gonna complain. Honestly, could probably make my top 10 end of the year list. Like if I get a full album that sounds like this.
So you're not going to get a full album that sounds like this?
Oh, I'm
based on
aware.
what I'm hearing.
I'm aware,
My
but I
understanding-
appreciate this song
I don't think it. I think this is a one-off.
probably.
Yeah, my understanding of, based on what I've heard of other people who have heard like snippets here and there, is that they released Breaking the Mirror and Locked in My Head to try and draw in new fans through Serious Octane, and then the rest of the album's going to be more similar to Dark Skies. It's basically the opposite of like Wage War, what they did with Pressure, where they put out a couple heavy singles and the rest of the album was, I mean, outside of maybe whatever it's called, Fury, that it was a little bit lighter. You know, that it more consistent with that octane core.
I like how they gave the bassist a voice again.
Did they?
Was it the bassist?
What do you mean?
It's the bald guy. That's all I know.
Yeah, he did vocals at the opening.
Oh, I just assumed it was Ryan Kirby.
Yes.
I didn't even know.
No, yeah. If you
bassist
watch,
would sing.
yeah, in the music
Right,
video,
he
there.
does
Yeah,
most of
speaking of the
theme,
music
though.
video. Speaking of the music video, this is one of the coolest music videos I've seen all year. Like, it's nothing too crazy. They're just like in a glass box, but it's just shot so well. They have like, I don't think it's like fireworks, but like fire streaks going off in the background. It's a really cool music video.
Yeah, I think it's a compilation of like them playing the song live plus some kind of documented like stuff, like the like in the box and stuff. But yeah, the bassist does vocals in the song and does the opening.
Dude,
And
Interesting.
this
Go.
band on Twitter they seemed so nervous to put this out.
really,
Yeah,
Yeah, I
people have been on them about like, especially Breaking the Mirror. People like whatever, and then they got God of Fire, and then Locked in My Head came out, and people were like, "What the fuck happened to Fit for a King? Like, where is Fit for a King?" Because when you've got, because at that point Annihilation hadn't come out, so when you got 2 of the 3 singles that are more octane core than anything else, people are scared that like their favorite heavy band or whatever was starting to go soft. And I think
Right.
it's like, I think that's a perpetual cycle, because you have something like, what's a band that went soft before Wage War? Like,
plotting you.
sure. Well, no, plotting. Nobody. Landon
Bring
Tours
Me?
is on a whole other level.
Bring Me the
Okay.
Horizon.
Yeah,
Not
Bring Me
even
the Horizon
Bring
went
Me-
and released Almo.
I guess it's more one of those things like you see, like Bring Me goes soft, and then Wage War fans are like, "Oh, Wage War will never do that," and then Wage War went soft with Pressure, and Fit for a King's are like, "Oh, at least got Fit for a King to back up on. They would never do that," and then you get 2 octane core singles. So people were,
The Word Alive is an example.
yes, that too. Although I personally prefer the Word Alive's newer material to their older material, but no, based on what I've heard, the rest of the album is going to be more in the vein of something like Annihilation.
Which let's get talking about it. Annihilation. We all already said that Locked in My Head was better than Annihilation, but I still think Annihilation was a pretty solid song.
It's my least favorite single out of the 4.
Agreed.
Oh,
I think it's better than Breaking the Mirror.
I
No.
agree. I think it's better than Breaking the Mirror.
My thing is that like God of Fire had a very repetitive riff in it, right? That riff hits heavier than most of the things I've heard this year, so I'm completely okay with it. I love it. It's catchy. Annihilation instrumentally felt very repetitive, and the song felt like heavy for heavy's sake. Like I feel like this was something that you release after the flack from Locked in My Head, you know? I don't know. I mean, like, it's not like a bad song by any means.
My only problem
I wasn't
with
feeling it.
Annihilation is literally the chorus is just, "This is Annihilation." That's all it is.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like rebuild, re-something. This is Annihilation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate
It's
to.
not that interesting.
I mean, you say that with the lyrics of God of Fire.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
You-
God of
it
Fire
also-
felt infinitely more interesting.
well, it's more interesting. But the lyrics were
Teacher.
like the lyrics not as strong as. Well, no, the lyrics were all right.
If we're talking about repetitive lyrics and choruses, Space by Hands Like Houses.
Hey! I will not have that piece of art compared to this. Okay, look. Do you mean Head Rush?
I mean, Head Rush too, but
Yeah, Head Rush.
Head Rush
repeated.
repeated it like 8 times.
would
Annihilation
rather
only repeats
listen-
it once.
I would rather
rather-
listen to Head Rush 100 times than Annihilation.
All right, I think we're getting off topic.
Just a little bit. We can say the Hands Like House for a little bit. They have a single
Yeah.
coming up.
I hate to use the trope of like, it's just noise, heavy music is just noise, but Annihilation to me felt like just noise for a good half of it. I'm not feeling this single at all.
It was kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
It grew on me over the week, I'll admit. Not as good as other songs that came out that week, considering I added 25 songs to my playlist on last Friday. We'll get to that later. I think it's solid. It's just like
Yeah.
it's a metalcore song. That's what Fit for a King do, and yeah.
Speaking of metalcore bands that put out metalcore songs, except this one was actually better than Annihilation, I want to talk about Habitual Decline by Like Moths to Flames.
The boys are back.
Yes, dude.
The boys
this
are
is
back.
so good.
It's so good.
This
It's way
riff.
better than their EP.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
That EP was like okay. I mean, it didn't have any bad songs, but nothing in there really stood out to me. This is one hell of a note to come back on.
Would this have fit on Dark Divine? Like, do you think, like, instrumentally, would it have, like, had a good place on that? Or do you think, like, it's fine as a good transition to, like, what they're going to be doing in the future?
I think it's a little bit heavier than stuff on Dark Divine.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm
I can
crazy.
agree.
Yeah,
But,
I think. No, go ahead.
go. My
I was
dog's
gonna say-
barking, so you go.
I was just gonna say that it felt like a good bridge between Dark Divine and the EP. What is it called? Oh, Where the Light Refuses to Go. That Where the Light Refuses to Go to me felt a lot heavier than Dark Divine. Whereas this sort of feels like a very happy medium, maybe leaning towards that heavier side. But this is some metalcore, and I am here for it. I love it. This is one of my favorite
This is most
songs to come
certainly
out
this is
week.
most certainly
month.
some metalcore.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, I'm not feeling it that much. This was my introduction to Like Moths to Flames, and it was a little bit much for me.
Yeah, this is definitely not most of their work. If you really want kind of slower stuff, I'm gonna recommend Empty the Same on their Dark Divine album.
I went back and listened to a handful of songs off of Dark Divine after listening to this for the first time. I didn't find anything that immediately stood out to me, but it's definitely something I can put down on my list of shit to get to at some point.
Well, yeah. There's a couple of ones like Nowhere Left to Sink, Empty the Same.
I think it's a good bridge between. I guess you said this between the
Yeah.
not necessarily the EP, but
Like
their sound
whatever they're
before-
doing in the future.
Their sound before Dark Divine. I don't remember. I can't think of the album names right
No,
now.
I can't either.
Yeah, no worries.
And Dark Divine as well.
Right.
Okay.
I think if this is how like their future stuff is going to be, we're in for a treat.
Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely think that eventually I will like a song by this band. I just need to find it.
Yeah.
Or they
Yeah.
need to release it. I will admit I really digged the chorus in this song. So if I get more shit sounding like that, I will slurp that right up.
Well, they've got an album coming out in October, right?
They
I
do.
think-
Yeah, end of
Oh,
October.
that's right. Is it going to include the EP stuff, or is it going to be all new stuff?
I'm not
That's a good
entirely
question.
sure.
Someone Google it.
Yeah.
I feel like most bands, when they put out an EP and then an album, they just take one their best song off the EP and then put it on the album.
Well, it really depends. Yeah, because some bands do that, and then there's other bands like I think
Currents is an example.
Currents, yeah, where they'll just put out the EP and then put an album with like the same songs.
Yeah, well, I mean, even think about Paris earlier this month, that put out, like, their album had, like, 3 or 4 songs off the Hallucinations EP on it. Or even something like The Score that we listened to, Jake,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
where they included some songs off past EPs.
Oh shit! None of the EP's on it.
What?
It's
What?
all new shit.
Oh, let's go. Good.
Yeah.
I want some new material.
August 30th,
songs?
2020. It's called No Eternity in Gold.
That's a dope ass
You mean-
album name,
you
by the
mean-
way.
You mean October, not August, right?
Yeah.
I did say October 30th.
Oh, then I'm.
Oh, I heard all.
October is shaping up to be a decent month.
Yeah, absolutely. Very excited for it.
We'll get to that eventually.
In October.
We got to get through. We got to get through
Gotta get
August.
through August first.
We got to get through August first. You want to move on?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's finish off the saga of Solence. They released their final single from their EP, Direction. And I'm just going to start by saying that we have not been the kindest to the material that they've released this year.
I feel like we've been joking more or less.
No. I haven't. I will not. Until now, I could not forgive them for the direction this EP was going in.
Oh,
But-
I hate you.
I will say that this is more reminiscent of older Solence material.
Yep.
With stuff like the electronically inspired guitar solo. This wasn't my favorite Solence song, but this is easily my favorite of all the singles and the songs off this EP. And I only wish that the other 6 had been more like this instead of the abomination that they were.
I'm gonna say this is probably in the top 3, but there's quite a gap between this and like Paralyzed. Paralyzed is probably the best in my opinion.
All right,
Yeah,
so-
I couldn't get behind any of the other ones.
Yeah,
So-
that's no worries. By the way, since the album's now out, we can grade the entire album at this point.
This is in contention with top 3 EP of the year for me.
Is it because there's only been 3 EPs released?
Yeah, it's up
I
there
ha-
with
I have, I have 12 on the list right now. So
Crossfade?
this
Oh,
makes,
okay.
Yeah,
this makes
it's
the top
cro-
25.
the top 3 is just this and Crossfaith twice.
And Deadlifts.
Didn't we
Is it-
review
no,
the
is it-
EP last month? I swear we did.
I think so. Oh yeah, the outline of color, the outline of color one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
I've got 47 on my list right now, so.
What the?
Well, I mean, you
you-
got to remember with the undertaking that I'm currently.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you have a wide variety compared to Jake.
Yeah. All right, so let me tell you my story with this song, right? So I listened to this as soon as it dropped at midnight. I was awake. I realized like, oh, this new Solence song is gonna release in 2 minutes. I'll wait for it. Sure, why the fuck not? And then I listened to this song, and you ever just have one of those songs that, like, you start listening to it, and in your head, you have an idea of where this song is going to go, and it just goes exactly as you imagine it in your head, because that's exactly what I felt when I was listening to this song. This song did everything that I could have wanted it to do, except for the breakdown, which was kind of generic, just what Solence does for breakdowns at this point. But even still, this song just hit a chord with me that felt so good to hear after what they've been releasing this year, which has been like very hit or miss. I think this song opened like a typical Solence song almost, like kind of like Paralyzed in a way. There's a lot of connections to be made between Direction and Paralyzed for sure. I think the chorus is probably one of the best that is on this EP. I think the second verse, they up the drums a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, and that really worked for me. But in particular, the one, like when I said that, like when a song goes exactly as you have planned in your head, and then it turns out to go exactly that way, the bridge into the breakdown drop could not have been like it's just exactly as I imagined it. It started slow and quiet. You got the drums starting to come in as it builds up, and then the vocals, like, they start quiet, they start getting louder and louder. You get the orchestral sound that Solence, that like I love Solence for. And it just, I'm a big fan of this song. Saving the best for last for sure.
Yeah, most definitely.
We would have talked about this in the EP section at the end, but we talked about every single released except for Animal and Me, which was back in February. So I didn't feel like we necessarily had to talk about it on the wides, like as an EP, because we've already discussed most of it at this point. But yeah.
It also just makes more sense to now talk about it more as a complete product.
Yeah.
So Direction, good song, and I will die on that hill with Derek.
Yeah, it is. It's a good song. I think it's the best off this EP. But...
Jacob, do you have any comments on this one before we move on?
All I'll say is my ears didn't bleed.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's in the top 4.
That's good progress.
This was the one song off the EP that I didn't have an aneurysm while listening to. So, we'll count it as a win.
And with that, fellas, the Solence saga is over. We have at least a 2-month break before they start releasing albums.
Exactly. 2 months is the bold prediction.
All right, let's move on. Stateside have released a new song called Low.
You got me feeling so, you got me feeling, oh, you got me feeling so low.
This is one of the most fun songs I've heard all year.
This is not my favorite Stateside song. I am previously familiar with them through actually one of my friends' Discover Weeklies. But I will say this is a very good song, and I'm very upset that after this EP drops, they are breaking up.
Yep, me too. I discovered this band off of this song, and reading the top comment that they're breaking up was, I was not pleasantly surprised with that one,
No.
I could say.
There's no bad blood or anything. It's just everybody's decided that they've got other passions to pursue outside of this band, and so they're putting one last EP
fair
out.
enough to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm gonna retract this statement later on. But in saying that this is one of the most fun songs I've heard all year, this song has so many catchy elements to it. From the opening drum beats to the bridge before the final chorus, where they kind of drop all the other instruments except for the guitars. They throw in some hand claps. Her vocals really shine in this song.
Absolutely.
She's got a nice range.
I drew some comparisons to a little bit of a band called Yours Truly, and then also especially Hot Milk. I felt it was a decent combination between the two, which I mean, like, again, Australia, so,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure both those bands are Australian. Yours Truly might not be, but I know Hot Milk is. And
No, Hot Milk is UK.
they are?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, now I feel like a fool. Look, Australia is just like British Texas, so I'm sure it's the same.
All right, there we go. We got the episode title, boys.
Mom, Dad, I did it. I did it, everybody. Be proud.
I gotta wonder how many times fucking Derek has made an episode title of the stupid shit that he says.
No, my brain
least
turns
twice.
on and I open my mouth and let it go. Sometimes I figure that I might need to filter things, but then we wouldn't have episode titles, so it's what it is.
Not at all.
Yeah, no, I would highly recommend this song. Even though it wasn't my favorite this week, it's still very easily accessible and overall a very good song.
Definitely. I as much as I love this song, I don't really think I have too much more to say. It's just hella catchy. And they did a great job on it. Let's move on. Normandie have dropped the song Jericho.
But I won't care what ended this fight. I wanna burn it down, watch it fall apart. We're looking for a cure for a callous.
The boys are back.
The boys are back.
Normandie
V2.
is back. Minus one person. They're now only a 3-piece band.
Are they?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think so.
I believe so. Someone
Oh, no
even-
shit, they are in their promo. Oh, that's sad.
Damn.
I don't
that's
know
fine.
who they lost, but they lost someone.
Well, evidently it didn't matter that much.
Yeah,
I don't know who they lost.
because this song is still just as good as like almost
Oh,
any
it's
other
so
Normandie
good.
song out there.
Yeah.
Really?
So
Normandie
this,
just have this ability to consistently put out good material.
yeah, and this song was actually on the 2 tours they did while
Oh yeah,
promoting White Flag. It wasn't on White Flag because they just weren't happy with it. And they actually changed up some of the lyrics when they were doing the promotion to release Jericho, like the teasers and shit. They changed the tense. So it was originally going to be like you roll the dice. I can't remember the other lyrics at this moment, but now it's all in first person.
yeah.
And I think that was a really like worthwhile change. I think also the fact that it changed to a 3-piece band was also kind of the reason why it took so long to come out.
Yeah,
But
and COVID.
and COVID. But yeah, it do be sick.
This song's been on the back burner for a while. Like I actually remember, Justin, we were talking in DMs back in January, like, oh man, Normandie, they got a new song. I think it's called like Jericho, and it's gonna come
Oh,
out
yeah.
soon. And 7 months
Dude,
later, here it finally is.
Dude, I did so much fucking research to see if I could find like a live drop of it, to see at least like what it sounded like live. And there was nothing, no like news or shit on it at all. It looked like it was just like a folk tale when I heard about it. I was like, what? But
This song was well worth the wait.
it was definitely worth the wait.
The boys are back.
Okay, so I hate to kill the positive vibe, but
Yeah,
I
I
thought
got
the song
something to
was
say about-
mid.
I got something to say as well.
I would take literally every song off White Flag over this any day.
I don't know
I don't
about
think-
that.
I do. I mean, then again, I think The Bell is a top 3 Normandie song, so my opinion kind of goes down the garbage, but I don't know. This isn't a bad song by any means. Like, I think it's a good song. I just didn't love it, and like it felt like something like a deep cut off Inga's to me in terms of like outside of the fact that it's catchy, like other aspects about it I feel are kind of forgettable. I don't know. I don't hate it. I'll listen to pretty much anything Normandie does because I love Normandie, but this is not the best note I feel like they could have come back on.
This
If
is
I-
definitely not their best song. Like
No.
this would be mid-table on White Flag for me, probably.
Yeah, I feel like if Philip Stren wasn't as god tier as a vocalist as he was, this would be kind of almost forgettable.
But Philip is just an
Philip's
talented human
Philip,
being.
like Philip, there's only like a handful of people that anything they touch or are featured in just like instantly makes the song like a 5 or a 6. And Philip is definitely one of them.
It. That's lowballing it, to be honest.
It gotta leave some room for like instrumentals and
Yeah,
shit.
that's true.
And like terrible instrumentals can ruin a good vocalist. But if I have one complaint about this particular song, it's like the end. Although it kind of gets heavy, it also kind of like it sounds like Philip doesn't pick up toward the end, even though like the instrumentals do. And it doesn't. It just seems like there isn't much traction to give the song much more energy. And I feel like it could have probably benefited from like maybe heavier, just being heavier.
I think Jacob, you got anything you want to comment
My only complaint is it's a little repetitive.
Yeah.
Other than
Yeah.
that, it's I like it.
I think that about sums it up. Amaranth have released their second or third song for their upcoming album. This new one's called Strong.
I rise and I fall, but I'm not alone. We didn't rush, we didn't blow the flame, didn't break apart, building up again. We crash
And it's featuring the vocalist from a band called Battle Beast, which I do not have very much experience with, but I
That
can
sounds
only
like a power metal band.
but I
Yeah.
can only assume that like since Amaranth signed to Nuclear Blast Records earlier this year, this is definitely a label move to have the vocalist of Battle Beast featured on this song.
Yeah.
No, like this would not have happened on any previous Amaranth album, but they're on a new record label and they have a featured vocalist now. How y'all feeling about it?
I think this is my favorite single out of the 3 they've released. I was very high on it when it first came out and said that it was one of my favorite Amaranth songs in recent memory. Having been removed, like a couple weeks removed from when it came out, I don't know if that statement still stands. I've since removed it from the playlist. It's gone into the aforementioned graveyard playlist. But I still think it's a solid song. I'm just left very... My hype for this album has slowly but steadily been muddled. Like
I kind of
think-
feel the same.
Yeah, the singles for Helix were a lot more interesting than what we've gotten off this. I don't know. Helix...
I don't know. At the same time, like the singles for Helix were 365 Countdown and Inferno, and Inferno is the only one that still like I really rate pretty
Yeah.
highly of those.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like with Massive Addictive and Maximalism, like those albums have a very unique identity, and I guess even Helix to some extent, but now I feel like with each album of theirs, they had the generic like Amaranth songs or whatever, but each album brought something new to the table. And with these 3 singles, I'm not really hearing anything new that I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
Like I would like a sonic change. I will say that I remember they made an Instagram post at some point last year where Henrik was going nuts in the
yeah.
studio. So I'm very much looking forward to whatever song that's on.
Yeah.
If that didn't make the cut, I'm going to be really sad. But
I am almost guaranteed that it did.
yeah, I
I'd
don't know.
be disappointed if it doesn't.
One thing I will say with this single is that I feel like the dynamic between the 2 female vocalists works very well, but I need some variation in this. Like,
Yeah.
part of Amaranth's identity is the fact that they have that secondary male vocalist and the unclean vocalist, and this it's a good song, but it's missing that punch that I guess I'm used to with a lot of what Amaranth has to offer.
I think Nils and Henrik really bring a lot of that punch with their vocals, and
Yeah.
eliminating them to get this feature in. This song is like more mellow. Like I compare this to like Dream from Helix, with the more mellow sound.
Yeah,
I think Dream is a better song than like I don't think this is a bad song by any means.
No,
but
no.
It doesn't. There's like when I think of Amaranth, like there's a lot of I don't know. They have the typical Amaranth sound, but there's usually something that makes me want to go back to most of their songs. But this one kind of just doesn't. I think the bridge before the final chorus, where they kind of like rotate lines between the 2, was probably the highlight of the song for me. That kind of made me like, okay, I'm kind of getting into this now. But otherwise, I wasn't entirely feeling it too much. Probably one of like, for being my favorite band, this is probably one of the biggest misses they've had since Maximalism, in my opinion. Not to say it's a bad song by any means. I still listen to it quite a bit. But the last thing I want to mention is I think the lyricism on their songs recently has actually been kind of decent. For as underwhelming as some of them have been, I think when I think back to Helix and Maximalism, there's some songs that have just like some strange and absurd lyrics that I still can't understand to this day. But I think the lyrics on even going back to Do or Die from February they've definitely they connect to me more. So I'm just hoping that future singles kind of pack some more punch, more of like the Amaranth that I want to hear, and redeems this album for me.
yeah. No, I agree wholeheartedly.
Any last comments?
Nope.
No.
Let's move on. Designer Disguise have put out another new song entitled No One's Alright. Similar to Amaranth having a very distinct sound, I think Designer Disguise have kind of nailed their sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree.
It's
I'm not
very
sure
nice.
how fully invested into their sound I am. I like it. I enjoyed the Nowhere EP that came out earlier this year. I feel like this would have fit on it. This is one of those bands, and I feel like this happened a lot more with more and more bands that I check out, that they're so close to being something that I really, really enjoy, and they just need something to push over the edge, and
This
I
band is
can
close.
never
This band
put
is
my
very
finger
close.
on it. And I feel like that's happened with this band. Like, all the elements of the songs that I enjoy are here in this band. There's nothing objectively wrong with this song or anything they put out, so I don't know why I can't get into it.
I
Like,
think
just
this
need
is
more
my
time
favorite
with it.
song. This is my favorite song I've heard from them so far. I haven't listened to their full discography. It's basically just their EP earlier this year and this song. But
Yeah, I think Undercurrent from their EP is still better, but this is probably like second or third favorite of what they've released.
This band has such a unique sound, and they can take it in so many different directions. So eventually, I think, give this band enough time, they're going to hit their stride and going to make some killer tracks.
You won't even think of it too, because they don't even have much. Oh, oh fuck!
COVID.
You all right, bro?
No, I'm dying because Toby, your cursor was on my face for like a good 5 minutes. I just checked back in the
What?
Twitch. Yeah.
I'll put it on Derek now.
Yo,
Okay, thank
what?
you.
Wait.
It looks like I'm picking his nose.
Oh, my goodness.
That's
Bro,
awesome.
that's cruel.
I
That is
just
cool.
noticed it as it went away. I was like, wait, what?
I clap for that move. That's a genius play.
God bless.
Fuck.
Twitch.tv/TobyCon.
Yes, sir. Yes,
True.
sir.
That's all I got on this one.
Yeah.
Wait, what song are we on again?
Designer Disguise.
Designer Disguise.
No One's Alright.
I got nothing.
Fair enough.
Thanks, Jacob.
I think the
I'm
big
for the
thing
next
that
time.
the big thing that makes this band unique is they have that rap vocal element, and the guy's not bad at it by any
No,
means.
no, not at all.
I just think the implementation. I think I think they need to work around it almost more than they do.
Yeah, I agree. Something more in the vein of Siler would be an interesting take to see them do. But the problem is that their style is more, I guess, mellow than something that's more metalcore-esque like Siler. So it's a little bit harder to incorporate that when you're trying to keep the rock elements there.
Yeah.
Because they're not even as heavy as something like, which I guess we'll get to later, but like From Ashes to New, that it's more of the softer side of post-hardcore.
Let's move on. Hurtwave put out another single, Bleach.
Bitterness coming down to burn in heaven.
Yeah, for those that missed when we originally talked about Hurtwave back earlier in the year, this is Roy Rodriguez and the guitarist of Dayseeker. This is their side project, and this is better than Sever in so many ways.
Yes, I agree.
True.
Are we all on the same page here? Bleach
I,
better than
wa-
Sever?
I wanted to enjoy Sever more than I did, but I could never get into it. This one has the vibe, and I was able to get into it.
It's got a. I don't really want to say lo-fi, but you know what I mean, right? That
Vaporwave.
Vaporwave. There you go. That's the one.
Well,
No, it's Hurtwave. Come on.
Shut up.
I mean, he said at the start on Twitter that this was just going to be Sad Boy Vaporwave, which, like, makes sense. It's interesting that you say that you got the Vaporwave vibes more from Bleach, because I got that more from Sever. I don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Bleach more than Sever. I think the song was
about the
amazing.
group in general. Because if that's the sound they're going for, like, I feel like these two singles definitely like prove that.
So we're getting another single this month, and I think we're getting a different single every month up until the EP release.
I hope the EP releases this year so we have EPs to talk about at the end of the year.
I don't think it will be.
No.
because I think you said there's 7 songs and it's 1 per month. So
Okay.
we'd get what this month, October, November, December. Yeah, so it'll probably drop to January.
Got it.
Although what we will be getting this year is that Bill Murray song featuring Rory Rodriguez and John Mess. I am
Right.
phenomenally excited for
when
Eggy
is that?
Pocket. What?
When is that?
November, I think. There's no official release date, but he said it's going to be November, December. Eggy
very
Pocket
cool.
by Bill Murray. I'm so excited. Bill Murray made my top 10 last year, and I'm really hoping that it happens again this year.
I'm very upset that I didn't listen to Bill
Hell,
Murray until this
I'm
year.
listening to a Bill Murray Dayseeker song right now. Fuck what you heard.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, no. This project is something that I could very easily see taking off on something like TikTok. You know that it's.
Oh yeah.
I'm waiting for it to happen. When you have these solo artists, topically, you know, somebody like Tyler Carter, which unfortunately things have surfaced and he's no longer a part of Issues. But acts like that, Tillian, even this to an extent that like,
Ending tour.
yeah, there's so much pop sensibility there that these vocalists know what they're doing, and the fact that they haven't broken through yet is criminal. Like, don't get me wrong, I've actively enjoyed a lot of what's on the radio right now, but like, all these have the potential, especially
Yeah.
like if we can get something like Deathbed by Paufu, which I don't know if you guys have heard that song. I'm assuming you have, but if you haven't, you should, because it's pretty good. But if something like that can break through into mainstream and can chart on the rock charts for some unholy reason, that like if that could happen, then something like this could easily break through. It just needs to get on the right venues on something like TikTok. So I fingers crossed that one of the songs that gets put out here makes it, just because I feel like the guys in Dayseeker, I guess topically Hurtwave.
To be fair, in the coming months, I don't know how likely TikTok will be.
Yeah, true.
True.
It
Microsoft, get on that, John.
is not looking good.
Any more comments for Hurtwave?
No.
No.
All right, let's move on. We're into the latter half of the month now. Annisokay have dropped a new single and have released an album release date for December. This new single is called Face the Facts. And I said it last month when we talked about like a Parasite. This band is on a fucking roll.
This is my favorite Annisokay single so far. That opening riff,
It's so fucking catchy.
it sounded like Floho by Issues. Like
It's such a good
ridiculously so. Basically I had in my notes Floho reimagined. I thought this was leagues ahead of STFU and Like a Parasite. I would have liked maybe a bit more of a defined breakdown, I guess. Like the breakdown kind of melded its way into the
Yeah.
rest of the song.
There wasn't like a lead up to the breakdown.
Right,
really.
right. And it's just that, again, that's so nitpicky, and probably a top 3 favorite song out of all the singles we're going to talk to for me. So I can't complain at all. This is an amazing metalcore track. I love it.
As much as I love this song, I think this is my least favorite. But I think that's more so just how highly I hold STFU. And Like a Parasite is also just an incredible song. I don't know, man. Just they're on a roll. This new Unclean vocalist is really doing things for them. And before I forget, I mentioned that they have an album release date coming out in December. A new album called Aurora. And
Tell me it's early December. Tell me it's
I
early
believe
December.
so. I believe
Good.
so.
Good. I don't want to have to deal with anything mid-December. I'm going to have to go through like 80 million albums
Yeah,
to figure out
I'm
when
pretty sure
everyone
it's the first
is.
week of December that this album's
Okay,
coming out.
good.
So-
I am putting my cutoff at the end of the first week of December. I refuse to allow any other albums in.
4th of December.
4th of December.
Yep.
I
December
also
4th.
believe I checked the track list and I believe that it's 13 tracks, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So I think we're in for a treat here.
We'll probably get another single then.
Yeah, maybe 2 more, to be honest. There's still a fair bit of time until December.
What were you
Something
saying
about
there, Drinking? Yeah.
the vocals. I don't know why. I just don't like it. Which is weird. because
I'm in the
listened to
same boat.
something about like I listen to like Landmarks, which is like even more. I don't know how to I don't know how to explain Landmarks vocalist, but
Well,
it's
see, the-
very weird sounding. It's a different kind of scream. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
See, the problem is I like the good chunk of stuff off of Arms, their 2018 album, but like I have not been able to grasp any of their recent singles.
I was pretty mediocre on Arms. On the contrary, there were some good songs in there. I think particularly good stories. Not to get too off track, but I think their guitarist that does like all the Queen vocals in the choruses, he's still like the standout of the band. Like their Unqueen screamer guy is like technically the frontman of this band, but I really feel like the guitarist Queen vocal guy is really like the star of the show when it comes to these guys.
Yeah, I agree. The unclean vocals feel like something I've heard before, I guess. That like it's but having said that, I feel like all the parts of this band come together to make something very cohesive that I really enjoy. Instrumentals in this have the same sort of groove as something like Bones by Make Them Suffer, and I dug this immensely. I loved it.
The more I listen to this song, the more I think that this song actually tied into the lyrics of STFU. I don't have it pulled up right now. But Shut the Fuck Up was basically like
Ouch.
the
Censored.
STFU was basically it was about like kind of just denying what's going on in the world, I guess. Like it was a little conspiracy theory. It was a little cheesy of a song, but I think like one of the lyrics from this song was drop your excuses and face the facts. And I think some of the verses kind of tie into that idea of like face the facts or like pay attention to what's actually going on. I can't recall it entirely right now, but I feel like there's definitely a connection between the two. And I think we talked enough about that song. Let's move on. Outside Our Heart have put out a new single entitled Like the Rest.
Feel good to hold me down. You know I haven't felt the best. 'Cause you always come to me.
And I was very happy with this one.
I
was
so
pleasantly surprised.
I'll get my to an extent contradictory opinion out of the way. I thought this was a good, not great song. This sonically reminded me a little bit of Point North, and I don't know how off base I am there. If
I don't think you're entirely off.
There's roots, like
Yeah.
kind of in the verses, maybe a little bit in the chorus as well.
they're like
You're not off. I'll say that.
they're like great value Point North. Is how I would put it.
Great value. Yes.
The vocal delivery was good. Outside of I really enjoyed the end part of the song. Instrumentally, I thought that was very good as well. But like outside of the end, I thought that it was very kind of forgettable instrumentally. That the end really gave the song all the personality, and the rest of it was kind of just whatever for me.
This song definitely took me a few listens to get used to.
Yeah, and I got that same sort of vibe from it. And all the songs that we went through, like in like the August playlist that I wasn't quite as high on, I put into a separate playlist. So my opinion on this could be higher or lower or stay the same with a couple more listens, but initially I'm not super high on it.
I think this is a big step up from their debut single back in May, I believe it was, that we talked about. Leper's Bell, where the only thing I remember from that song is that the chorus is basically just like falling apart, falling apart, falling apart.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a much better stuff. Like comparing the chorus of that, where it's just like falling apart, I'm falling apart, to this one where I love the chorus of this song. I can't remember right now. But
Hey, I love this, but
I can't remember right now.
yeah.
I think it was fuck. Are you cool with all your friends, the ones you'll never see again? I guess I'm just like the rest. Kind of. I think that was what the line was.
Yo,
I might be
that's like-
missing a line in between.
That's like senior year of high school encapsulated.
Yeah, true.
You cool with all these friends that you'll never see again? Yeah, sounds about right.
I kind of picked up on this song. This song's kind of about just like toxic relationships and like cutting out the toxic people in your life. I don't think there's too much more to add on this one.
No, Justin, Jacob, are you guys feeling any sort of way on this, or just kind of?
Derek, you pretty much just said everything I thought.
Oh, good. Let's go. Hivemind, baby. Oh yeah.
Hell yeah, Hivemind.
For once, acting like our namesake.
Yeah, true. Marwood's Fall have released a new single, Before I'm Gone.
I don't have the strength to fight the feeling. These pieces never really seem to fit.
And this is a band I've actually known about them since 2018, which might come as a surprise considering they're kind of not very much of like a name that you would know of. They kind of went silent for 2 years. They had a single in 2018 called Enemy and Me that I really liked back when I was still kind of getting into this whole rock thing. And now they've come back, and I think you commented on this, Derek, the other day when I asked you to listen to it, and this is kind of like a budget Breaking Benjamin in a way.
Yep. Yeah. I went back and listened to their cover of Without Me by Halsey. Yeah, stream Manic by Halsey, by the way. Phenomenal album. And it sounded like Breaking Benjamin and Hinder had a love child. And then I went back to that 2018 single that you mentioned, and it sounds like Breaking Benjamin. And then I went back to their 2016 and 2013 EPs, and they both sound like Breaking Benjamin.
I haven't listened to those EPs yet, so...
If you really like Breaking Benjamin, you should go listen to this band, because if you like, it wouldn't exactly be the same, but if you closed your eyes and didn't know what song you were listening to, there are parts where you would say, "Oh, this is Breaking Benjamin." Like if you didn't know who Marwood's whatever.
Marwood's Fall.
Marwood's Fall, yeah. I don't. It's a good song. It's just when you sound so similar to a band, and I don't think that they're doing that style as well as Breaking Benjamin does. So for me, who's not super into Breaking Benjamin, I'm thinking, well, why would I listen to this when I could listen to Breaking Benjamin? You know,
That's true.
I don't know. I don't want to downplay the talent of the musicians, because they're all very talented and the sound's good, but I wasn't quite feeling it because I'm iffy enough on Breaking Benjamin as it is.
Yeah. I think that there's not really too much to say about this song, really.
I think the only thing I have against it is that it seems like it's very much driven by the instrumentals. The vocals seem very kind of downplayed, or almost kind of like lower in volume compared to the instrumentals.
Yeah, there's really not a ton to say about the song. Very similar to Breaking Benjamin, got kind of like just a stereotypical hard rock sound to it. Let's move on to Makari coming back with a new single entitled Labyrinth.
Your life's a labyrinth, places you've never been. Follow one.
And Kizik is back again.
Dude.
Yeah, this is I have not listened to any of Andy Sizek's project. He's a part of how many bands? 3, 4?
God.
I don't even know.
You don't
I haven't listened to any of his material before. This is my first introduction, and you know what? I like it.
He does a lot of he does a lot of covers on YouTube as
He
well.
does covers. He does a lot of features. He's in Monuments. He's in Makari. He's in that one band with Nick Nocturnal.
I said it.
Fuck, what's that band called?
I said it earlier in the month too, and I completely forgot it. Hold on.
I'll come to you in a moment.
Yeah, but I mean, the dude has range. I mean, he doesn't do Termina. Yes, he doesn't do uncleans in Makari, but the fact that he does uncleans in his other projects, and his voice still sounds like this, the man has vocal control beyond most of the other people in this music. I mean, it's
so
phenomenal.
much range. He is comparable to Rory, even though I think Rory has a bit more experience.
Yeah, I will say this didn't quite click with me enough for me to save it.
Right.
I think that this is the best he sounded in Makari, ever.
I still think Transient might be a little bit better, but this has been a lot more replayable than anything off of Hyperreal.
Yeah. I'm very excited for this album, EP, whatever's coming out.
I don't even know what they're doing. I'm just glad to hear new music. from them.
He's put like new music out in 3 projects though. Like the dude's out of his mind. He doesn't stop.
Fucking mad.
And they're also free from their label with this
Oh, are they?
release. So they're kind of free to do whatever the hell they want. So I'm very excited to see him experiment because he's a very creative and talented individual. It's funny that I like him on all of his features more than I like him on any of his individual songs, like with any of the projects. I feel like he lends himself a lot better.
I'm just gonna quickly. He featured on that Dreamhouse album from last
Yeah.
year. That song doesn't really stick out to me all too much. But
Really?
It's just never clicked with me in all honesty.
Oh, I fucking love that song.
But I felt like this kind of had similar elements to a Dreamhouse song.
How so?
Like instrumentally, I think the guitars
yeah.
kind of had a similar sound.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to describe it, but
No, I would absolutely agree with you there.
yeah.
This is a very solid song. Incredibly talented individuals all around. This band deserves to blow up.
The lyrics were great as well. I specifically wrote down never face the facts because they make you mad. Because I thought that was funny.
Oh right, he was also on a Wednesday song. That's why I remember the name. Before I checked out Makari.
Once again, it's a chorus that I remember being really good, but I didn't write down enough of it to remember it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just take my word for it that this chorus is really good and this song is really good.
Yeah, this is on my list of songs to revisit because I know that with some more time, this is absolutely going to click with me.
Y'all ready
Absolutely.
to move on? Because I think I am.
Yeah, Jacob, you got anything?
No, I didn't really.
Cool. Let's go.
Secrets have come out with a new song, Ironhearted.
Yes. Yes.
You're excited to talk about this one, I can tell.
Bro, if this keeps up, I'm looking at album of the year 2020 Secrets. I'm slapping that one down on the table.
All right. Okay.
I am so excited for this album, dude.
I might be crazy, but I got Issues vibes from this song.
Yeah. Are you talking like fucking Headspace or self-titled era as opposed to Beautiful Oblivion? Yeah. It's the dynamic between the cleans and the uncleans in this one. It's the structure for this song is so unconventional. Like a lot of times in metalcore, you've got intro riff, first verse, chorus, verse, chorus, breakdown. And then this one, you've got opening riff, uncleans. See, now that I've stated that out loud, the structure is the same if I just like break it down into like sections. But you have to listen to it to understand what I'm saying, because like there's uncleans, opening riff, and then it's kind of a mellow unclean, and then it gets right into the uncleans, and then there's a clean pre-chorus before the main chorus. I don't know the name of their clean vocalist, and it kills me because I should know it. But he sounds amazing in this song. He sounds better than My Mind, Myself, and I and Come Down. The moment I heard the breakdown at the end where they said this is where we say goodbye, if this isn't the closing track, like I feel like that's a wasted opportunity. I feel like we should cap off the album with this is where we say goodbye.
That would make sense. That's logical.
My Mind, Myself, and I, which was the first single, I wasn't super high on, or at least not as high as I am on the other two. I love Come Down. This was a huge grower on me this month. I've listened to this so many times. And
did we talk about Come Down on an episode earlier this year? I can't remember.
I think so, because we discussed how like kind of muddled the production on the breakdown sounded.
I don't remember the song at all. I'm not huge into Secrets, so... But this song definitely, like, they're on my radar more than they were before.
Yeah,
the chorus, the clean vocalist, as you mentioned, did a fantastic job here. And even the uncleans, like, the more I listened to it, like, I listened to it the first time, I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna like this, and then the more I listen to it, I'm like, okay, I think I actually kind of like this now.
Yeah, it's just their 2018 self-titled was pretty good. I especially liked 3/17/16 and Last Time off of that album. But based on what I'm hearing from these singles, this album is poised to be even better, and I am so phenomenally excited. It's supposed to be this year. We don't have a date yet. But the moment I get one, I'm going to lose my shit and eagerly anticipate when this is coming out, because this single has me amazingly hyped for this album.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on then. Club Danger have released a new single entitled Mercy.
No mercy, just cut me loose. I've been down and dirty.
Justin, let's start with you. What did you think of this one?
I'm gonna spoil my opinion of the Score album that's coming out later this this podcast. This was better stadium rock than the Score put out.
So it's interesting that you say that, because I had in my notes that the chorus kind of reminded me a bit of the Score, and then the instrumental vocal effect, or the instrumentals, the vocal effects, and the song structure reminded me a lot of Grandson.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'd still prefer any given Grandson song over this, though. I wasn't a fan of this at all.
I think
see
this
that.
is a step up from Wish You Well, which we talked about last month, which kind of just really didn't do much for me.
Yeah, I can't remember anything about that song.
It's a shame because I kind of like this much more than their last one, Living Legend. I think it was Wish You Well.
As I mentioned, yes.
The Trouble, I think, is still the best,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
but I think this is better.
This is more of what I expect when I'm listening to Club Danger. It's more of that stereotypical stadium rock.
Stadium alt rock, yeah.
Yeah, I think they did it decently well here.
Yeah, and
I
they
don't
have
think it's
they have a
incredible by any means, but I think it's solid.
it's pretty good, and they have a self-titled coming out later this year,
No date yet.
Is it
September
EP or an
September
album?
18th. September 18th.
Oh, what the?
Yeah,
When did that come out?
it's literally on their Twitter bio.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
okay,
fumbled
then.
the bag, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna have 3 albums to talk about on that date then.
So it is an
Sure.
album, not an EP.
They say it's an album. They haven't. Hold on, let me see if I can find a track list while you guys are. What's the next one?
Yeah, September 18th. If I remember correctly, that's Fit for a King and Future Palace. And now if Club Danger is on that day as well, that's kind of a nice day.
I think if I remember, it's 11 tracks or something like that. I'll have to double check.
I don't think there's too much more to say about this Club Danger song.
No.
While Justin looks up. You want to move on?
Yeah, speaking of self-titleds, Hands Like Houses have announced their self-titled EP and released a new single alongside that announcement called The Water.
But that's fine. There's no point in trying to fix what ain't broken. No words to speak that haven't been spoken. No one can tell me who.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
That's
want to
fine.
like this more than I do.
It's okay.
Oh, y'all are breaking my heart.
Derek, what
No,
you got?
I actually really like this song, but I don't think I like it enough.
I am not the biggest fan of alt rock. Stuff in the vein of a lot of Grandson's older material. Something like Club Danger that we just talked about. Arctic Monkeys, that sort of thing. It's never done it for me. This is in the same vein sonically as some of those songs and those artists. And I shouldn't like it. But every time I listen to this song, I like it more and more, and this is probably one of the few exceptions to my general rule of thumb of that genre that I don't like, that this is an amazing song. I roll down my windows and drive with it playing a lot, alongside Space as well. I think that Space is the superior track of the two that
that's
have been
true.
released. But this in general is just a good summer vibe, and the imagery in it with like the lyricism is very simple. It's not complex or hard thought out or anything like that, but it's enough that for me it takes me to a place where I'm more relaxed and don't really have to worry about much. It's just not
a
a
very
feel
mellow
good song,
song.
but it's mellow, it's good vibes. It's like in that sense it's kind of a more mellow version of Head Rush. That Head Rush, at least for me, and this is like personally, so I don't expect anybody to agree with me. But that this kind of gave me the vibes of like being at the beach and like going surfing or being on a boat or something like that and driving fast.
I mean, the song is called The Water.
Well, I meant more Head Rush for me.
Oh.
Whereas
right.
like
I meant,
the water is more like laying on a towel on the beach and like letting the waves go over your feet and stuff like that. I don't know. But interestingly enough, they have lumped Space and this together as a release on Spotify without Head Rush, which makes me think that either Head Rush was just intended to be standalone and it didn't make the EP, or they read the room on the reception for Head Rush versus Space, and saw that Space has now doubled Head Rush in streams, and they decided that maybe we should not put that on our self-titled.
See, I would hope that would be the case for the latter, but Drift also came out before Anon, and Drift was really good.
That's
and
true.
that wasn't on Anon.
That's true.
But Anon was also kind of a different case.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't mind if Head Rush was on it, but based on how Space and the Water sound, they feel like totally separate vibes from Head Rush. And so I
agree.
I would prefer, for the sake of me inevitably replaying this EP over and over again, which I think is set to release in September or October, if I remember correctly.
October.
No,
Hold on.
Is it? I have September 25th in my head for some reason.
You're right.
Okay.
Cool.
Shit, I can remember that in passing, but I can't remember what I ate for lunch yesterday. Go figure. Yeah, no, I very much enjoyed this song. And if this is the direction that Hands Like Houses are going in,
October 23rd.
Oh,
Okay.
so I was wrong. Let's go.
Yeah, we were both wrong because I thought it was September 25th too.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that the direction of Dissonance and Unimagine are sort of the Hands Like Houses that I prefer. But if I'm going to get a bunch of songs like Space and the Water, I can't complain at all, and I'm very excited for what this EP has to offer.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I want to mention right before the chorus, the pre-chorus. What's the name of their vocalist?
Trenton Woodley.
Yeah. He starts like he picks up the pace right before the chorus, and then the opening to the chorus is slow. It's like, don't hold me down.
Yeah.
And it's really slow, and that change in pace really, I think, is the one thing that's holding me from liking this song a lot more than I actually do.
I could see that. I could absolutely see that. Yeah, it was for me for a while as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Jake on that. Space is still the better of the three that I've released, but the Water, I'm not gonna say is bad or anything. It's just there's something holding it back, and I think
When I
exactly
first
what
heard
Jake
this
said.
song, I was debating between if this is better than Space.
I knew on first listen it was
point-
better than Space.
At this point, I think Space is better.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
there's definitely some good elements to the song. It's just a little more tweaking, and I would have liked it a lot more, I think.
Yeah, it took a while to grow on me, but once it did, I don't think that I could ask for anything differently.
I think that just about sums it up.
Yep.
Yeah,
Before we
so-
move on to the next
Oh,
one,
my bad.
yeah, I want to backpedal a bit. Club Danger, it's going to be an EP, I guess. It's 8 tracks,
Okay.
Okay, I'm with it.
and they've released 4. So
Yo, Jake, watch this. I think that we should move on to a brand new thing.
mute him on the audio.
Now,
Mute him on the audio.
Speaking
Mute him on the audio
of,
before you
hold on. We've got this brand new thing, which is entitled "Brand New Thing" by Zayd Wolf.
Watch this. Let me introduce you to a brand new thing. No
Bro, I'm so good at podcasting. Somebody, Jake, when's my raise? When's my raise, bro?
Next year.
Let's go.
might as well retire now. I don't think you're going to get much better than that.
Yeah, I peaked. It's all downhill from here.
No, you peaked when you had a stroke in June.
That's true. This is you. Everybody's witnessing my slow mental decline.
All right, let's talk about this new song from Zayd Wolf, though. I love this song. I have not given this song enough attention for
he's
how
gone.
good it actually is.
Yep.
But I love this song. I think this is one of the best songs he's ever done. Probably top 5. I struggle to put it any higher than that, I think. but I think this is really good. It's got that
Ace.
stadium rock energy that, similar to Club Danger, like when I listen to Club Danger, I expect the stadium rock. Like Zaydwolf, I kind of expect the same thing, just not as stadium rockish, I guess. Meaning alternative.
Yeah, I've never been really able to get into Zaydwolf. He's another one of those artists that I know you like to listen to, that whenever he puts something out, I'll go out of my way to listen to it because I know that eventually I am going to like something he puts out, because I don't actively dislike anything. This was another one that falls into that kind of middle category for me, where, like how I was describing that alt-rock vibe that I'm not really quite into. That was sort of the vibe that I got from this. I wasn't a huge fan, but it wasn't a bad song either. I don't see myself revisiting it.
This is just a very typical Zaydwolf song. It's not anything completely new. Something that you'd never, like... I'm thinking of, like, almost with Identity. Identity from Grandson earlier this year was, like... It didn't sound like almost anything he's ever done before. Whereas, like, this, it's not anything that... It's not anything super crazy, something special, something new. But I think it takes what Zaydwolf is good at, and he just did it extremely well here.
Of the 10 tracks they've released since his Modern Alchemy album.
Has it really been 10 singles? Damn.
Yeah, there's been 10 tracks. I just counted. 11 if you count the reimagined of one of them. This is in top 4. And it's probably going to be the 4 that I remember. But
I don't know if there's an album coming out.
I wasn't too sold on it. I feel like the kind of techno-y, kind of like the technically instrumentals, electronic instrumentals, I just wasn't too much of a fan of on this one. I'm more kind of the anthemic beats kind of studio rock instead of the kind of like techno electronic. But I can definitely see where this shines as part of like the 10 songs that he's released. But it's not my favorite.
I think we're ready to transition out of this one. Speaking of a brand new thing, ERRA have signed to a brand new label.
Oh, yo! Okay.
Let's talk about Snowblood.
Bro, I thought you were about to stutter and talk about the same song twice. I was like, hold on, where's Jake been the past 5 minutes? Bro, speaking of favorites, okay? Outsider, your friendship ended with Outsider by Veil of Maya. Now Snowblood by ERRA is my best friend. This is my favorite metalcore song out all year, period. I cannot get enough of this.
This is good.
It's so good.
This is some good shit.
It's so good.
I'm a big ERRA guy. Like I got if you look at the stream, I got a big drift wall flag. Okay.
Yeah.
But
No, don't do it.
but
Oh, don't do it. Oh.
no. Hang on. JT, unclean vocalist,
Uh-huh.
amazing. Sounds
Yeah?
great.
Oh, no.
Jesse,
Oh, don't do it.
not
Oh.
doing it for me.
Oh!
Just stabbing the night, Derek.
Oh, God.
See, when I think of ERRA, I think of songs like Skyline or Breach. Jesse carries the song, right?
I just...
I just
pain.
don't think he doesn't sound that good on this.
Man, I have done a complete 180 on this band because I found ERRA through the Dance Gavin Dance tour that they were on back in 2018.
Oh yeah.
And when it's Neon, right? That album? The last one?
Yeah.
Okay. When Neon came out, I was much higher on Jesse's vocals than I was on JT's. And that's why the main song that stuck with me outside of Monolith was Signal Fire. Because Jesse really shines on that song. And ever since they put out their cover of You Think I Ain't Worth $1, but I Feel Like $1 million,
I listened to that song once.
really? Okay, so that's like one of my most played songs of all time now. And because I got so used to that song, I've got a whole new appreciation for JT's vocals, and I am okay with Jesse being sidelined in this because I think between JT's delivery, especially that whatever the fuck you want to call it during the last breakdown, the ow, yeah, that one, and
Please never do that again.
yeah.
Ow!
Dude,
Please don't have your fourth stroke this year.
I think I was just about to say that.
What's up the JT?
Yeah, but my homie GT. But between his delivery and the instrumentals, I feel like I could take Jesse out of this song and it would still be my favorite metalcore song of the year. I think just having him in there adds further to it. You know, the variation and instrumentation on this album, because like a lot of my problems with bands that like don't have a clean vocalist, with the metalcore and even deathcore to some extent, is that they don't really switch up the delivery, and if they do, they don't switch up the instrumentation enough. So I kind of find myself becoming disinterested in the song like halfway through. Yeah. Whereas with this, there's always something new, whether it be with switching off the vocals or JT changing up his vocal delivery or the change in instrumentation, that I am constantly engaged. And I listen when at the gym the other day, I just put this song on a repeat and I listened to it for like the hour and a half I was there, and then like another hour after I got home, just because the replayability on it for me is insane. I don't know what it is that's clicked so well with me, but the past two ERRA songs, this and that cover, have done wonders for me.
God.
See, I'm calling BS on that because in the current scene of everything right now, there's no way you would have gotten into a gym.
Yo, look, I already got it. I'm still masked up because I don't know what the thing is, like what the potential is for me to catch it again. But this is like totally like sidetracked, but like I felt like if there was ever a time for me to go back to the gym, it would be when I knew for certain I couldn't get it again, so I could assess the situation and things. And you'd be surprised how like empty it is, and like how willing people are to like maintain distancing. Like they've got sections like set off for different exercise equipment and stuff like that. Like obviously it's not perfectly safe, but given the circumstances, everybody's doing a good job and is generally being very mindful of it.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I'm just happy that it's open again. But anyway, that's like completely separate.
Can I just mention the fact that we've been talking about the song for a good like 3 or 4 minutes and we still haven't talked about the guitar solo?
Yo. Guitar.
Like,
that's what I'm saying. The instrumentation in this is insane. Everybody in ERRA is so talented, dude. Because Jesse plays guitar and does vocals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I wish I had that talent. I sing poorly in my car and do air guitar solos. So me and Jesse are basically the same person is what I'm hearing, you know.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, I do. I love this wholeheartedly. I can't get enough of this song. Highest recommendation. Oh, my goodness.
Would you say it's your favorite ERRA song?
Yes, absolutely.
Same here, but I have nothing to compare it to because this is my first experience with it.
Neon is a good album. Very underappreciated. Band in general needs more recognition.
Give me a year and I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah. Yo, if it's anything like you setting up Spotify, it'll be like 2022.
Yeah, I was about to say that's generous for you, Jake.
Oh yeah, probably. In all honesty, yeah, we've sung this song's praises. Let's move on.
Yeah, no. Let's not move on. Let's walk on to the next song. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Escape the Fate have put out a new song called Walk On.
Feels alone sometimes. Walk on when you're going through hell. Keep going. Walk on.
I was really excited when we weren't doing transitions to songs, and now I hate it.
Yeah, would you say that it's like a million paper cuts, perchance?
Why? Why are you like
I mean, maybe...
Does that call for a change in playlist?
Well, no, I mean, like, if you're not going to appreciate it, I should go talk to someone else.
playlist?
Stop.
Have an aneurysm.
Yo, I'm 3 for 3, and Justin wants to die.
Dude, we're like 3 songs ahead now, guys.
Yeah. Fuck it, I'm going to scroll randomly when I stop. All right, we're going to be talking about No One's Listening by Point North now. We're moving forward.
No, we're moving backward. We're walking backwards.
Real
Backtrack
talk.
on
Real
that
talk.
one.
Real talk. this Escape the Fate song sounds like something off of I Am Human, and I'm bored out of my mind listening to it.
Thank
It's
you.
so average.
Yeah.
It's so average. What the fuck is this band doing? What are they doing? There is so much talent here, and it is wasted. It is.
I know this band from One for the Money. I used it in a video, and I was pretty proud of that video. I have
Yeah,
not
I'm
paid
in that
attention
video.
to this. I have not paid attention to this band since then.
Don't bother.
I'm
No.
yeah. Well, I mean, I might have to bother now that we're talking about it on the show.
Yeah, it's like Stolens. Whatever. Like I saw them live with Slaves back in October of 2018, pre Matt McAndrew, and they put on a very good show. But
I saw
everything,
them 2016 maybe with Weekend's Romans I Prevail.
yeah, they're a phenomenally amazing live band. But like the material they put out on that last album was just so boring, and this I feel like there were enough people that said that about the last album that they would hopefully take that into account and try switching up their style a little bit, maybe to something more reminiscent of the older material. And it wasn't there. It just, you can replace this single with anything off of I Am Human, and it sounds exactly the same, and I'm just not feeling it at all. It's
The one
okay.
thing I want to mention is that like this is their first single in over a year.
Yeah.
And like, if this is the weird single you're releasing to like start building hype for your album,
I'm not sure if it's a lead. I think it was for like, I'm not sure what it was for. Maybe Charity or something. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yo,
Like,
they should have picked a better song to release for charity then.
I'm not
this
sure. I'm
is,
not
like-
sure. I'm not sure.
If this is like the first single you're releasing to start building hype for an album, like
Yeah.
I don't know, just
No.
I
What?
don't know, man.
Hold on. If it's included in the Snow Baby soundtrack, what?
What is Snow Babies?
I have no idea. That's what Wikipedia says.
All right, hold on. Let me investigate. Snow Babies.
Anyone want to take that one out of context?
That's what it's for. It's not
Snow
Charity.
Babies, an independent. Okay, hold on.
It's like an
Snow
independent
Babies
movie.
is a gripping and emotive story about the grim realities of addiction and the triumph and challenges of recovery from substance use disorders. Yeah, well, I mean, that'd do it. Tell anybody they got to stop heroin or listen to the song 100 times. They're going to quit. I'm also looking at it here. It says the song will be out on their forthcoming album due out in 2021. So this is a lead single. This boring ass song is a lead single.
I was right.
Hype
Strange choice.
levels at -3 right now. Like whatever. I can't be bothered with this band anymore. I'm still gonna listen to what they put out, but they've devolved from a band I'm very interested in to a band where I listen to everything that they put out in hopes that something might click with me. Which sucks, but it is what it is.
Let's move on.
Yep.
Yes. Outlining Color. They put out a new song. Once again, these boys don't stop. This one's called Paper Cuts.
This is a
And,
cover.
Cover.
Yes, I don't know what this is a cover of. Someone entertain me in that. With
It's a cover of a song called Paper Cuts. By I think it's Lily and Vera Blue. I could be
I
wrong.
think you're correct. I'm gonna
Hold
double check
on.
on that.
I tried finding out what this song was a cover of. But I
Yes.
just could
So
not.
I
Find
listened to it, and it's actually a like hip hop song.
Originally by
So-
Illy, I believe, ILLY, featuring Vera Blue.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
It says it literally right on the cover art. I didn't notice that until now.
Oh, what? Oh shit. Yo, we're so blind. Get me out.
What?
I mean, like this. Having listened to the original, better. This is not
Better.
the original. This is better. This is so
Better.
much better. The
Yep.
original was like whatever. I love their take on having a hip hop song and doing something like that or like this with it. I would have. This is like so nuanced, but I would have almost preferred something like a little more backstory on why they covered this. You know, Kind of like how
Yeah, they kind of just dropped this.
Yeah, like when how Songs That Saved My Life came out, they like interviewed the different artists and they had them explain like why the song meant something to them. I would have liked something on why they chose to cover this, but overall it's a really good cover and a really good song.
As resident, not as high on outline and color person here.
That's me.
That's also me.
This song felt very long to me. Like whenever I listened to it, like it just kind of dragged on for me. I definitely grew to like it more the more I listened to it, but it felt very longer than it probably needed to. Once again, I'm still not vibing with the unclean vocals that they do here. The chorus, or whenever they introduce the clean vocals, I enjoy that more. But ultimately, I'm not super high on this song. But I think it's definitely solid. It's better than some of the other stuff we've talked about this year that they've released.
Yeah. Whoop, I accidentally muted myself. I kind of agree with Jake there. Kind of not as high on it as some of the stuff in Imposter Syndrome, but it's still better than the original.
Yeah, it's good, just nothing that I feel the need to revisit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Would you look at that?
He knows what's coming.
We're so close to the albums.
Well, guys, I feel like instead of outline and color, we should talk about someone else.
Kellen Quinn.
Hey, would you look at that? Loveless and Kellen Quinn have put out a new song called Someone Else.
Kinda feels like you're punishing me. Oh, I'm tongue-tied and I wish I could breathe.
Would you look at that? We are an hour and 40 minutes into this podcast, and we're on the last single.
We're an hour and 39. We're almost at 40.
Hold on. How many albums do we have to? 1, 2,
So many.
3, 4, 5,
I
6, 7, 8, 9.
I think.
No fucks.
This is
Yo,
so doomed.
To be fair,
No,
Poppy's
I think
gonna take
what-
like 2 seconds.
I think we'll be able to get this under 2 hours 45 minutes. I think
No,
we can do it.
shut up.
No,
We're looking-
I think
we
we can
are-
do it.
The
I
The
think
more
we
you
can
talk
do
about
it.
it, the more we won't.
Let's talk about this Loveless song. Let's talk about it. Justin, you've been dying to
go
get
nuts,
me to
bro.
put-
Go nuts.
You have
it's so
been dying-
good.
You have been dying to make me put this song on the show, or not this song, this band on the show.
Because I forget to tell you, and then I antagonize you for forgetting. Because I forgot.
I didn't vibe with any of their other stuff up until this song.
Yeah, this is so good. Kellen Quinn does so good on this.
Kellen Quinn does not stop featuring on other bands.
I really appreciate how he's featured on very smaller bands.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this is not my favorite from them. Lighthouse is still like better is also kind of driving with me more. And Derek, I have you to blame for this because you're the fucking fault. You sent for you, and now I can't get enough of this goddamn forsaken band.
Look, all right, I did what had to be done.
It's so good,
bro. This song really is. The first time I listened to it, I was very high on the verses, and I felt like the chorus needed some better mixing on it for me to really get behind it. But having revisited it a bunch because I knew that it would grow on me, I love this song now. I can't get enough of it. I'm very happy with this.
Similar to many other songs for me this month, the chorus is the standout piece of this. This song gets stuck in your head hella fast.
Yes, absolutely.
Hella fast.
Partly to blame with the Kellen Quinn feature. The Kellen Quinn feature really is elite. I mean, he like Justin mentioned, he features on so many smaller bands, and I feel like every time he's featured, the feature itself and what he does to feature is better than the whatever it's called, than like his solo material. Like
Yeah,
the same
I
way I
agree.
feel about Annisokay, that I like his features more than his solo material. Like I would take this song over anything off How It Feels to Be Lost, the latest Sleeping with Sirens album.
Speaking of that Sleeping with Cyrus album, they released a deluxe version of that album this month. We aren't going to be talking about it because Talking to Myself was the only other song on it.
Why would they?
about that single.
Why would they do that? Just release it as a B-side and call it a day.
They released it. They released whatever the name of the album is. Plus Talking to Myself. Plus like some acoustic tracks or something.
Whatever. Who cares?
So I didn't think we should talk about it.
No, nobody cares.
I haven't listened to that full album. I'm debating on listening to it the weekend that we're recording this.
Don't.
Um,
Don't. If you want like prime
Those-
sleeping with
those are
sirens
first album.
material, yeah. What is that? Feel and hear, right? Or yeah, there it is. With ears to see and eyes to hear.
whatever album has Kiss Me on it, I want to go and listen to that
Feel
album.
in here.
Okay, look, their 2013 album is called Feel. I was on the right track.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
But,
their first
well,
three
anyway.
albums are very good, and then
Anyway, Loveless.
Oh man, they are. If they weren't on anyone's radar before now, like they
need
better
to be. They
They're
need to
so
be.
good.
They need
They're
to be.
so talented.
Absolutely, this
For-
project
for-
has a lot of potential.
for a two-piece band who like is from a part of this. I don't think have put out much else and like different other projects. God damn, they're so talented.
In a similar vein to Traceless, I feel.
Oh, absolutely.
They have different sounds, but in very similar veins of like, they're both they have very high potential for some up-and-coming bands.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I don't think there's much more to say.
Nope.
There were some good-ass singles this month.
There
were a
were.
lot.
But
There were.
You know what? I think there were even more good-ass albums this month.
Now, hold on. Before we move on, I want to throw something out there and see how we feel about it.
Okay.
Can we trust ourselves to get 9 albums and an EP in under an hour?
I think if we
I think it's possible.
ignore the singles that were released for each of these albums and just talk about them as the whole products, we can do that.
Because
feel like
my
we
other
can possible.
suggestion was going to be that we end it here and split it, and then release this one like at the end of this week, and then the other one 2 weeks later for like
Nah,
albums.
that would just be too confusing.
If you think that we can
I
get it
think-
in, then let's
I
go.
I
think
feel
it's
I feel like we can get it in, or people just have 3 hours to listen to our beautiful voices.
I
For
think
real.
it's possible. We just need to stop getting on side tangents.
Yeah,
like
I think we'll be
with,
fine.
with Sirens
Oh,
out.
So-
with, I'm gonna make another suggestion here very briefly. Do we want to start from the? I mean, I know we go in order of how things were released, but I feel like should we start from the bottom of the playlist and move up and end with Slaves? Since I feel like that's the one that we're all gonna have the most to say about.
I want to start with the EP that was released.
Oh, you bring up a very valid point.
Well, let's get into
Yo,
it.
this
Let's
is
not
why I
waste
don't
time.
host this podcast.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Thousand Below have put out a acoustic reimagined EP. Let Go of Your Love. We talked about the single last month, but the full EP is out now.
All I really know is that it's chemical. I remember times when it was cool with you. You clouded up my mind.
So this was good.
I need to go in a timeout for forgetting about this EP, bro. This was so good. This was so good.
You know what I did? I got drunk and listened to this.
Let's go, dude.
Hell
Yes,
yeah.
sir. I mean, honestly, this is the album to
Yep.
get drunk to and get lost in your feels.
Yeah.
This made me feel all sorts of ways. These songs, if you didn't tell me, like if you took the song titles off, these could easily pass as new songs with the way that the difference
change.
between them.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of like acoustic versions of songs, I feel like it's, at least in a lot of respects, very similar to the original. These feel like a new breath of life and a new identity into them. Special shout out. No, go ahead.
I actually think I like some of these songs better than I do on the original album.
Yeah. The only exception
I
for
think-
me is Lost Between. I enjoy the original a lot more.
I'm the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, Lost Between never really stood out to me in all honesty.
Okay.
Wasn't that the one that featured Northlane?
Yes.
Yeah, I've never been huge on Northlane, so that might explain it. But yeah, Thousand Below, they took some sad stuff and made it even more sad.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the feature from Sumner Peterson of Dead Lakes absolutely makes that exponentially more sad, because they're, as far as I'm concerned, two of the saddest boys in the genre right now. I mean,
only dethroned by Rory.
yeah.
from Daisy
If
Eater.
we could get Rory Rodriguez on one of these jaunts, oh my goodness,
Oh.
I'd sob like a man.
When are we getting a Dayseeker 1000 Below Dead Lakes tour?
Dude, not soon enough.
Actually, no. Let's add Bad Omens to that.
People crying.
Dayseeker, Bad Omens.
That's gonna be the saddest pit you've ever seen.
I would like those three to open for some like obscure, really like happy-go-lucky pop punk band. So like the guys come out expecting a bunch of energy, and everybody's just crying in like the slowest circle pit you've ever seen. Everybody's sobbing. They've had to bust out the janitorial staff to clean up the floor. Everybody's slipping and dying. They're coming out like, "Hey guys, you ready to have a great night?" And everybody's just crying in the crowd.
As much as I said we shouldn't get sidetracked, I'm enjoying this.
Bro. Yo, if
Yeah,
we really
1000
want to
Below.
get sidetracked, happy pop punk bands, Sleep On It broke up today.
F.
Fun fact, I don't know if any of you guys listen to them, but
No, I have not.
No, I don't.
there have been so many bands gone in the past like couple of months here, but thank goodness that 1000 Below is not one of them because I
That's
love
a story
this EP.
for another day.
Yeah, I love this EP.
Or not. Yeah, this EP is fantastic. Probably the best like acoustic reimagined EP I've heard this year, albeit it only has competition from like 2 others. But yeah, I think Lost Between and Alone in My Head or Out of My Head, I forget exactly. I think those 2 are both even better on this reimagined acoustic EP than they were off the original, and that's hard to do when they're already pretty damn good songs.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the one EP for the month. We got 10 albums.
Yeah.
Hey, wait. I need to put it. I need to say it.
Do it.
It's number 1 EP of the year.
Yes, sir. Actually, I don't know if I can go that far, but
Yeah.
it's top 5, definitely.
Yeah.
Actually, we have Bring Me.
Yeah.
Putting out
Oh, that's true. Bring Me's coming out. That Bill Murray cover EP was pretty good. I mean, hate to bring that one up, but Johnny Craig put out an EP this year that I really enjoyed. Man, 2 out of the top 5.
There's a really Derek. There's a transition to be made here.
Bro.
I'm putting my faith in you.
Bro, yo, that's true.
Don't
Man,
fuck it up this time.
man. Speaking of Johnny Craig,
There you
but,
go.
like not anymore. We got Slave's new album, To Better Days, that came out at the start of the month.
You want, won't be happy till I'm face down in the mud. And it's funny 'cause you're madder than hell, like you can't tell. I'm the one who's under your spell.
There's one emoji that can describe this, and it's Chef's
Yo.
Kiss.
Oh, I was gonna say Pog. But
No,
yeah.
Nah, Chef's Kiss, man. It's all so good. There isn't a bad song on this.
There's really not.
This album cycle has been a year in the making,
Yes.
and oh boy, did it deliver!
Yeah. Worth the wait.
The only issue is, well, 2 issues. One, 7 singles, and one of the singles was mixed worse than it was when it was released.
Bro, I will not hear. No. I'm not even gonna let you speak, Jacob. I will not hear any old heavier slander on this timeline. There is no way you like the new mix on heavier better. No way. No.
What I was talking about, I was gonna agree with Quill. The 7 singles, it ruined my first listen. I'm gonna say.
Really?
I am almost inclined to agree.
I say that because trying to digest this all, if I were to like skip the singles and everything, like there'd just be 6 new songs. Mind you, I think the fuck yes, Derek.
I'm
You made a playlist of all the songs, remove the new mix of Heavier and put the old one.
It had to be done.
It had to be new. But yeah, fucking Witch Hunt, Curse, Secrets. Oh my god, there's so much good that wasn't released as a single.
Yeah.
I wish.
Better Days. I love
That's
it as
true.
an intro.
I
Yeah,
do
it's
too.
one of the best intros, and I'm so sad that it's on repeat because I keep replaying this godforsaken album.
Yeah.
Spotify
Yeah.
needs to
Excuse-
actually
let's
use 2 songs together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be. I mean, doing that, you could do something with the Embers Glow into the color Black by Dayseeker.
I wish that To Better Days had a better transition into Prayers, but it's still a fantastic opener to the album.
Oh man, I can't believe you
Regardless.
said that. This is like my favorite transition of all time. It works phenomenally well for me. I love it.
The awkward pause between the two just has not settled right with me.
Speaking of awkward pauses, there was a lot of conversation. I'm sure you guys know where I'm going with this. Secret.
Yeah, secrets.
Yeah.
The awkward stopped.
I still don't know quite what they meant by how they wanted the effect to work. I mean, I guess like with the silence from all your secrets and then cut out, I feel like there could have been something a little bit more that like would have made that flow better. But like it was jarring first time I listened to it and even the first couple of times, but having spun this album more times than I can count, like it doesn't bother
It's such
me
a
anymore.
non-issue.
Yeah.
It's just a non-issue
Yeah.
at this point.
No, I wouldn't even like take points off the album for it because
No.
it works well enough for me that I just don't care about it anymore.
Yeah, there was a lot of controversy in that, and not a lot of people liking Witch Hunt when it was first came out.
I am
really?
still one of the
Yeah, Witch Hunt is probably one of my favorites, but I can definitely see the
Yeah.
criticism. And it's definitely one of the more different tracks off the album.
Yeah,
Matt McAndrew really went, how many times can I say the same phrase without people getting tired of it?
exactly.
He
And that's
did
what
it
Witch
well.
Hunt is.
He didn't
And
do a
you know what?
headspace. Head rush. Fuck, I hate you, Jake.
He said,
What?
That was
I'm
like that has
confused.
been 6 months of podcast pent up aggression, and it just all came out.
No, because I said
What-
headspace instead of head rush. Because he said headspace earlier.
I think I said
when did I say
headspace.
headspace?
One
Yeah,
of you
I did not say
did.
headspace.
I hate you all. Why are we fighting?
Yo, this is exactly why we're in counseling, guys.
The better days of the Hive Mind was 2018 when we actually were a Hive Mind.
Yo, for real. Now we're all just like bitter old married couples going at each other.
Yeah, pretty
All right,
much. What else?
let's get back on track.
Yeah,
here. Let's
final
talk
words on
about-
this
Let's
album?
talk about. I am not done talking.
Don't
about this
complain.
yet,
Speaking
though.
of, bro, speaking of old people, Wasting My Youth is like really good. Like I think that has been the grower on me the most. Honestly, honest to goodnessly. All right, look, you're
I'm
umming me.
gonna
You're umming
refrain.
me. You're umming me.
I'm gonna refrain from saying
I want
anything
everybody
further.
right now to go through. Tell me your favorite track and tell me your least favorite track.
Okay.
Go.
No one goes.
No way.
All right, I'll start. Talk to a Friend is the best track off of this album and arguably a top 3 song of the year.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop there.
No. I want to hear the Wasting My Youth slander. I want to hear it.
I got my answer.
I got
Okay.
mine.
Talk to a Friend's best song.
Okay.
Worst song, Footprints.
Ooh, that is a hot take.
I'm not against it because that's bottom 3 for me.
Okay, Justin.
Yep. Top is Talk to a Friend. Worst, Clean Again.
Okay,
That-
No.
bro. How do you?
I
Hold on.
will not
How,
take that.
One
I
moment.
only say that because I've not listened to it as much as the rest of the album.
How do you?
Because
guys-
there were 7 fucking singles.
I want to know how you can say, "Oh, Footprints bottom 3," and then you get to Clean Again and go, like, what the fuck? That doesn't make that connection does not work for me.
Queen Again.
I will
is better than Footprints.
say the betterment of this argument between Derek and Jake before Derek is removed from the podcast.
Bro.
Wasting My Youth is too short. If it was a bit longer, I would like it more. And I think other than that, it's really good. It would be top 4, probably top 3.
Wasting My Youth is a bit short, says the guy with 100 plays on To Better Days. Like,
Hey, shut up.
no,
None of that slander. 71 plays. Thank you.
Yo.
Good night.
my favorite from the album is probably still, if we're talking like on the album itself, probably Wasting My Youth or Prayers. If we're talking just in general, and I can throw in the old mix of Heavier is my favorite song, and I have to say my least favorite is Witch Hunt. But that said, Witch Hunt is still like an 8.5 on 10 for me, and I've listened to it just as much as I have the rest of these. So like, when this whole album is so like perfect to me, like I I have no complaints really. It feels like the perfect length. Everything flows really well. I can't complain. They've blown me away with this. This is easily my favorite Slaves album, more so than anything they ever did with Johnny Craig. And again, it's the Johnny Craig curse, where he comes in, starts an amazing band, gets people together, and then somebody else comes in and replaces him, and they do infinitely better than him. And I'll take it. You know, like this is Slaves. I feel like at their peak, considering past music. And I am so excited to see where they go from here as they rebrand, whether they'll stick with this sort of rock post-hardcore fusion or whether they'll go towards more of a pop rock style, because Matt's pop sensibility is off the charts.
Incredible.
Dude, they can fucking do anything at this point and I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Matt has... There are a lot of people who were skeptical of Matt when Heavier first came out. And then as more singles came out, they got a bit more on his train. And now this sells him so well.
Yeah.
Proved them all wrong.
If any of those people heard this album and still aren't on board with him, I don't know what's wrong with them, because this is...
They like the sound of Johnny Craig more. That's really it.
This is a top 3 album of the year easily, and also probably top 10, top 20 for me of all time. I mean, it's just phenomenal. The replayability is insane. The talent is insane. Everything works so well. You have moments on things like Eye Opener, where the bass comes forward a lot. Where
Are we all still in agreement that Eye Opener is a top 3 song on this album?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great, awesome.
Normally you don't get to see the bass line come forward in a lot of music. Like it contributes to the song, but it doesn't. It takes a back seat to a lot of the other instrumentals. And I like that everybody in the band was given a chance to shine on this. And I think that's also based on what I heard from Roses, in part thanks to the production from the lead singer of Awaken I Am, who also, like I mentioned on Roses, like to bring that bass line forward and understands giving all the members a chance to shine and show what they're capable of. And they all put their A game forward and delivered into one of my favorite albums of all time. I love
Now,
that.
as much as this album is incredible and probably going to make all of our top 10 end of the year lists, easily, I feel like I want to say a couple things before we move on to this next album, because I haven't really said too much about this. Witch Hunt is my favorite of all the new stuff. That song is unbelievably catchy.
It really is.
Oh, catchy.
It's repetitive, but it is unbelievably catchy, and I will die on that hill. Cursed took me a couple listens to get into. I don't really know how to describe it, but I'm still unsure on what I think of Cursed. It's still a good song, but it's probably the song that I'm the most unsure of. I think Footprints works for me as a song, but we'll get this. I'll bring up Footprints again later. I think Queen Again got robbed, and if Queen Again was like longer, like even just like not even like a full 3-minute song length, like even if it was just like 2.5 minutes, I think Queen Again could have been one of my favorite songs on this album, in all honesty. I think the placement of Queen Again right before Secrets and Like I Do to close out the album the timing was perfect on the placement there. I think just in general, every song fit so well where it was placed on this album.
Yeah.
And I think the only other song I haven't mentioned at this point would be Secrets, which is a fantastic song, and the audio cutout at the end, which I mentioned earlier, is it's a non-issue for me.
It's negligible, yeah.
And as much as I love this album and would love to honestly probably talk about this for another 10 minutes, I think for the sake of us and the audience here, let's move on to Stand Atlantic with their album Pink Elephant.
You're up and down like a yo-yo. It's not the way you wanna walk home. I think you find me kinda weird though. Oh no.
This is a fun album.
This is so much fun. This
is a really fun
When we were talking about Stateside earlier, and I said this is one of the most fun songs I've heard all year, and I'm going to get to that later, Stand Atlantic. This is the most fun album I have heard all year, and it's probably just one of the most fun albums I have heard ever. And that is, the epitome of that is Evil I Go.
Yeah.
Like, that is... I almost want to say it's the best song on this album. It's close between that and Wavelength for me, but oh my god, this album is a bundle of fun.
I personally think this album is near perfect. I love the pacing on this album and how it can be so fun and nonsensical in songs like Evil Igo, even Jurassic Park to some extent.
Yep.
Do What You Want, Soap. And then you have something that they can flip it on a dime and go to something more serious like Drink to Drown, which is more of
wanna
that
talk about that one real
slow
quick.
emo ballad. Yeah, sure.
I did not like that song as a single, but in context of the album, it's so good.
It really is.
It was placed right where it needed to be, and I have like actively gone back to that song in my playlist multiple times now.
This album is everything that it needed to be, in the sense that when I found these guys last year, through it was through a recommended video after listening to a song by a band called Yours Truly, which is sort of in the same vein as these guys, that I found Skinny Dipping as the album. And one song has stuck with me through that called Lavender Bones. But the rest of that album felt very forgettable in the sense that they didn't really seem to know what their sound was yet. And I feel like with Pink
think,
Elephant, they've really
like-
found it.
Yeah. I haven't listened to Skinny Dipping, but I'll trust you on that.
Yeah, it's a good album, but it's not as cohesive in the band able to understand what they do best and roll with it. So like even though there are a bunch of different styles across this album, this album feels like it has a very specific identity, whereas the other one just felt like a collection of songs that some of them related, some of them didn't. This, despite its differentiation in styles, is very cohesive. And it is, like you mentioned, it's so much fun. I find myself replaying Jurassic Park more than anything else, but you could easily interchange that with pretty much any other song on this album. And I'd say, yeah, that's a great song I can play over and over again. Like, why not?
Yeah. I think the only song that, like, I haven't really gone back to it, but Silk and Satin was very different to everything else on this album and never really clicked with me. But otherwise, just, this album's amazing.
She mentioned on Bonnie, who's the lead singer, she mentioned on her Instagram story that song was, and I quote, for the fuck of it because I could. Which makes sense because it's very experimental, but like you've got you established prior in the album with the like 7 or 8 songs that come before it that the band's gonna do what they want. Ironically, the song before Silk and Satin is "Do What You Want," DWIW,
which is one of the better songs.
Yeah,
one of the better songs on the album, for sure.
But that they're saying, "Hey, we can do anything. It's still gonna be fun. You're gonna like it." And I got the Silk and Satin, and I was still having fun. I liked it. And I am overall very happy with this album and don't see any way it doesn't make my top 10 at the end of the year.
I'm inclined to agree. I didn't mention this at the start of the show, and I was planning on it like all week, but like honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if half of my top 10 list at the end of the year is purely from this month.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly,
That's just how crazy this month was.
I mean, yeah, there's some phenomenal stuff here.
Yeah.
Jacob, did you get a chance to get around to this album?
Yeah, I listened with you guys, remember?
Oh, yeah. Wait, I'm stupid. Haha. Bro, I'm going to be honest with you. I was probably drunk. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, you 100% were.
What did you guys think of this, Justin and Jacob? I know, Justin, you mentioned it was fun, but like, do you have any extra thoughts on it?
No, not really. You guys very like touched on it all. Like Wavelength and Evil Igo, probably some of the best on that album. It's a very fun album. I probably am not going to rank it as high as you will, Derek. But I'd say, you were right. It's almost a near perfect with what they wanted to accomplish with it. And it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Before Jacob comments on anything, Evil Igo, I have this image in my head, and I've wanted to make this video for weeks now. I've just kept procrastinating it. But the beat to Evil Igo just reminds me of Kirby in every way.
Yeah,
like
I could see it.
Yeah, the beat of Evil Igo, in my head, I'm just imagining Kirby teabagging someone in Smash Bros. To Evil Igo.
So I got an image of like, you know, the book where the lost things are, where the wild things are. It's one of the two of them. It's basically just a bunch of. It's a children's book full of like furry beasts off on some island, and I think the kid's imagining them going off to visit him or whatever. But it's like one of those, but in a very like cartoon style, just walking around trying to make friends in a city. And that is like such an obscure, specific reference, but like, I don't know. I think the fact that this band can create a song that's so nonsensical and so much fun, open to so many like imagery interpretations, you know, I feel like that's a real testament to how much this band was able to accomplish what they came here to do.
Jacob, any comments?
It was okay. Like, I don't think I enjoyed it as much as you guys did, but I don't think I'd be going back to it, except maybe at the end of the year to review. But it's all right.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, that's if it's not your like specific style, you know, I feel like you won't love it, but I feel like this is at the same time very accessible. And
It's weird though, because I really enjoyed God, All Time Low's album.
Oh yeah, Wake Up Sunshine.
Yeah.
That's another one that's, I mean, that one was fun too. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I showed this album to my girlfriend, and she said that she didn't know it was a girl singing until I told her. She thought it was a man in the same vein as like Vic Fuentes of Pierce the Veil or Kellen Quinn.
I thought that when I first heard Jurassic Park.
I would never, and that's the song that I showed her, and that's what she exactly thought.
Right.
And I would never have drawn that comparison until she mentioned it, and now I can't unhear it. Like
I'm gonna need to listen to Jurassic Park again after this, bro.
like if you go listen to any like old school Pierce the Veil song, or I guess even anything new, well, new quote unquote 2016, but
Imagine
like
me ever listening to Pierce the Veil,
bro, I don't know. I like it's been
Even, like,
interesting, but
Summer from Dead Lakes. A little bit.
yeah. Shit. Now I'm gonna hear that too. You guys are Stand Atlantic is slowly being forever changed. I should have
think we
kept my
said
mouth
enough about this
shut.
album.
I should have shut my mouth shut and taken her to a show, and then she come out. It's like, wait, what the fuck? It's not Vic Fuentes. What in the world? Yeah, no. This and the Slaves album we talked about are probably the albums that I enjoyed the most this month, and that come with my highest recommendation. So if you haven't heard them, please do yourself a favor, check them out. Both have a very decent, fun pop sensibility to them.
Let's get to the third album from the beginning of August. In Heart's Wake have released their album Kali Yuga.
Edge of the darkness inside, but my shadow's getting harder to hide. Carry the pain, this grip I need.
Mixed opinions on this one.
Yeah.
I think
I don't got anything to say on this. I skipped it.
You know,
Fair enough.
I'm gonna
You
say
missed
in
much.
skipping it, you're not missing much. Yeah,
I didn't think I would be.
I think that this is their weakest album overall.
There's a lot of forgettable tracks on here.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then
I
again,
remember the feature.
Hellbringer.
I remember there's this one song with the. I don't even remember what it's called, but it had a feature, and it was, and it felt like the person who was featuring in Heart's Wake, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it was Georgia Flood, I think, because Randy Riemann was that like boomer from their influence band. I remember we like looked him up on Wikipedia, and Jamie Halls is from Polaris, and we know his feature. So it's Georgia Flood, and it was a woman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah. So that was Crossroads, which like was whatever. I don't know. This whole album to me felt like it had the potential to be good, but it went
dropped the ball
on.
a
Yeah,
lot.
it went on too long with too many songs that blended together, and so by the time I was getting towards the end, I was bored and waiting for the album to end. Which I
I
feel
will
like
say, well, while we're on topic of the end of the album, I think 2033 is one of the better songs on this
I agree.
album.
I agree.
I enjoyed it as a closing track. And I think it fits the theme of like what they're talking about with like climate change awareness.
Yeah.
Like, what's it going to be? 2033? Will we face the end or whatever? Other standout tracks for me, I mean, Hellbringer is still one of my favorite metalcore songs of the year, which is probably an unpopular opinion, but
No. I'm with you.
I think Time Bomb was also pretty good.
Yeah.
And other than that, there are a couple single
Tick,
Son of a
tick,
Witch.
tick,
But...
boom.
Dude, that was so fucking stupid.
Dude, it makes me not like in sound, but like the what is the called? I can't
You can
think of
do
the
it.
word. I
I'll
can't
believe
think of
in
the
you.
word.
Activate the English dictionary membrane.
Bro, I'm not gonna be able to help with
It
that.
reminded me of Mice and Men, like not what's that song called?
Oh,
With the one
oh,
with the they go
fuck.
boom in the breakdown. I forget what it's called.
Oh, shoot. Was it? Oh,
I don't remember the name.
good God. Hold on. I know exactly what you're talking. It was like the lead single off the. Was
Yeah,
it Mushroom Cloud? Was it Mushroom Cloud?
Yeah,
Was that the name of the
that's it,
song?
that's it.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, I don't know. This to me felt like you could cut something like Husk, Naga, Moving On, and Crossroads out. Like there feels like fat to be trimmed off this album. And
Moving
like,
On was okay.
I don't know. This is 2 minutes longer than the Slaves album. But if you had like,
And it felt a lot
if you,
longer.
yeah, gun to my head, if you asked me how long this album was, I would have told you at least like 55 minutes to an hour.
We also listened to it very late at night. So
That's true. And
Yeah.
that was after
We
we'd already
listened-
gone through Slaves and
We had
Stand
listened to
Atlantic.
Slaves and Stand Atlantic and In Heart's Wake all on the same night. So for our first listens, maybe we didn't have as great of a perspective on In Heart's
you
Wake.
know
but
what?
whatever.
Come to think of it, I don't know why I forgot you were there, Jacob, because I definitely wasn't drunk. Because I remember like getting towards track 8 or 9, I remember thinking, man, I wish I was drunk for this. Yeah, man.
I think that about sums it up.
Yeah,
I
I-
don't think there's too much more to say about this album.
It's not a bad album. It's just not
all over the
great.
place.
Yeah, exactly. It's very how I was talking about how Stand Atlantic were looking to find their song or sound. So some of the tracks are kind of all over the place. That's how this feels, except this is like their 4th or 5th album. So what are you doing? Like, what was the plan here? I don't know. I don't recommend
They did complete the trifecta of the 4 elements.
the
Is that a
trifecta of the 4 elements.
That's the episode title.
Yo, what in the world?
Fuck.
Bro. Yo, it's like a great value Avatar: The Last Airbender, bro. Dang, on his quest to master the trifecta of all.
This is the guy.
All right, I think
Guy
you
we
need to
choose to
explain-
lead the
explain what
podcast
you
and
mean.
host a radio show based on it.
Jeez.
I'm moving on from this. I'm
I
moving
think
on
better
from
you need to
this.
explain what you just said.
No, there
is
is
no hope
I
for you.
cannot reasonably justify the
No,
words that I said.
no. Hey,
I cannot reasonably
sometimes
justify it.
3 do be 4, though. I mean, oh my goodness. Yeah,
Let's get on to our 4th album of this episode.
don't you mean our 3rd?
Yeah, come on. You
Oh,
were the one
no.
who said it was an EP.
No 5th.
Number
Remember,
4.
there was not an EP, according to Derek.
Hey, look.
Four.
What am I looking at?
Are we all
We're
thinking
looking
different
at this new Adelitas Way album called Shine On.
Everything I got, I'm all in. All in.
the
And
trifecta.
I forgot it existed until like 20 minutes ago when I looked at the playlist.
I listened to it, and I have no interest to go back to it.
Neither do I.
I did not listen to it, and I do not have any interest to go to it.
No, you are really
You're not missing out.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna have to carry this show.
You're gonna have to carry this album and the next one, so you're perfectly fine where you're
I
at.
Yeah,
will.
all right,
I will
all right.
give my brief opinion on this, and then
Let me
I'll
drink
give
some
you
water
my-
before I
yeah.
talk for the next few minutes.
Go nuts. This Adelitas Way for me has always been a band where they're almost good, but they're not, and everything they put out is aggressively okay, on the verge of being good, but never quite gets there. This album is no exception to that. I think it had some higher moments on it than some of their previous work.
Oh, absolutely.
There's some that I've been more willing to revisit that I haven't really gotten around to. But by the time I got to the end of Something More, which for all intents and purposes is the closer.
The end of the end.
Uh,
Yeah, they stuck on some like other tracks
Yeah.
like from previous albums, just
I
like
would
reimagined
say-
at the end. I didn't really count. Those
I
in
mean,
this.
yeah, they threw Octane onto the end of them, so do with that information.
Yeah.
But I wasn't ready to move on in the same way that I got done with In Heart's Wake, and I was like, thank God this is done. But I got done with this album, and I was like, okay, moving on. I didn't really
Yeah.
feel anything for it. It was just average, and that's not exactly what I'm looking for from music. But at this point, it's kind of what I've come to expect from this band, and that's where
This
I'll
is
leave my stance.
this is a massive step up from their 2018.
I will
album.
say,
their 2018 their 2018 album is one of the most disappointing albums I think I've ever heard. In all honesty,
Mm-hmm.
so when I say okay, so just brace for it. Okay, I have my Google Doc to like keep track of what albums I actually like this year, and in the column of number of songs I like, it's 11 out of 11.
Okay.
There's not a single song on this album that I dislike, but I don't think there's also a single song here that I would rate higher than an 8 out. Like, every song on this album is somewhere in between, like, an 8 out of a 10 and, like, a 6.5 out of 10 at worst, I think.
Yeah.
And I think the album you start off on a high note, and then it gets progressively a little bit worse and worse and less memorable.
Mm-hmm.
I think All In is probably my favorite track off this album, which is the second track. But something interesting is that they have Stay as a remix on this album, but they have never, like, I don't know, I think it's like a JVP remix, I think, and I honestly can't tell the difference between, like, if this song was actually remixed at all, or if this is just an Adelitas Way album with remix on it, because, like, this Stay sounds exactly like an Adelitas Way song and nothing like a remix.
Yeah,
to me.
there's nothing up
And I
there.
think it's really strange.
There's Stay Ready.
And
That's
even stranger is that they have never released a song called Stay previously.
Yeah.
So that kind of and then they also have Stay Ready on the album as well. This band does some confusing things sometimes.
Yeah, I will agree with you that there was nothing on here that I actively disliked. I don't think that any song in here is objectively bad. I just didn't think that anything on here was like that great. Like you said, I think my max for anything on here would probably be like a 7 out of 10, as opposed to like an 8.5. And
I would not go to an 8.5.
yeah,
I think 8 out of 10 is like absolute cap. But I think we talked about the single last month with What You Want, which had more of that like electronic pop feel to it. And like honestly, that's one of the best songs they've done of that style before. I think What It Takes is still a good song. That was released in early 2019. That song's been out for ages
Yeah.
at this point. And that song is still good. All In was good. Shine On, which we talked about in June, I still think is a pretty solid song. I just think when you start getting to the end of the album, it starts to kind of fade out, with Heartbreak and My Derailment both being just okay, but not very memorable. And I think Something More as a closing track it did its job as a closing track.
yeah.
And I think that's about what I come to expect from Adelitas Way. So
Yeah, real quick, Jacob, the stream is buffering.
yeah,
Buffering. Shouldn't be.
I don't think there's too much more to say on
No.
this album.
While you discuss the next album and Jacob fixes this, I'm gonna be right back. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. I trust you to handle
Yep.
the next one.
Yep. And as in handling the next one, we have Poppy with the deluxe reissue of the album I Disagree.
Don't ask me how I'm feeling. There's nothing to talk about. Don't ask me.
So I hold the very controversial opinion of this is still one of probably my top 10 albums of the year at this point. The deluxe album does not do anything for me. It comes with 4 new tracks, one of which we talked about last month with Chaos X4, and then it came out with 3 other songs, which was like Don't Ask, If It Bleeds, and something I can't even remember. I listened to them like twice, and have not had a desire to revisit them ever again. I will stand by the fact that I still think that the original album released in January this year is really good. I still think there's a lot of good tracks on there with Concrete, Anything Like Me, Blood Money in particular. I think the closing track, Don't Go Outside, fit very well. But these 4 new deluxe tracks do absolutely nothing for me and are all extremely mediocre at best. And is that about it?
I didn't listen to this.
I didn't expect you to.
Me either.
Do you have any comments on like the original album at all?
I guess I can have some comments to fill in the space where we're waiting for Derek. Poppy, I've known her on YouTube for like 7-8 years because she was doing all that kind of weird, kind of very, very trippy kind of videos where it was almost nonsensical at a point. I didn't think she would be going into metal. It seems so weird. And I've just still have not gotten used to her doing metal at all.
It is very strange and experimental, but it works for me. Except for these 4 deluxe tracks. These 4 deluxe tracks do not work for me.
Yeah, I definitely cannot get a grasp on it. But hey, if it hits a note you're liking,
like I still hold the original album at like an 8 out of 10 probably. But if we're talking about this deluxe album, like I think these 4 tracks lower it to probably like a 7.2 out of 10. Like they just do not. I've said it 3 times now. They don't do anything for me. I kind of want to wait till Derek gets back before we talk about this next album. So, Jake,
and while he's back,
you're back. All right, let's move on.
What's going on?
we're moving on. Point North.
Oh shit!
Point North has released their debut album, Brand New Vision. Let's talk about it.
Because we're living in a world where nothing's sacred. How we gonna make it out?
Yeah, before we hit in the individual stuff, I just want to mention we've talked about this album, and I feel like we each have songs that we each separately like, and I feel like that's good when an album can do that, and we all still like the final product of the entire album itself. But there's not like one song we all like. Like there's different ones that we each like.
I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Slaves that I was going to get back to Footprints, and this is the time. So, this album has a song entitled Distant. And I think Distant did what Footprints wanted to do, but a lot better.
Yeah.
Distant is one of my favorite tracks on this album. Like, hands down.
I didn't expect it to go as slow as it was, but man, it's really good.
Yeah, it is an oddball on this album for sure, but it works so well.
Right.
It works so incredibly well, and I could not be happier with saying
And Epilogue?
Yes, Epilogue is also fantastic.
That's so good.
So let's. All right, this album kind of. I don't know, like how we talk about this album. Like I started with Distant just because I was mentioning Slaves, but where do you want to go next here, fellas?
I mean, just the overall vibe of the album, it's this strange combination between pop punk and post-hardcore that I feel like can be very hard to pull off, and Point North did it almost perfectly. Like, a lot of the songs on here have pop-punk melodies with post-hardcore instrumentation with a delivery somewhere in between, and I have no real complaints with anything on here. I don't think that there's a bad song on here.
I wouldn't say a bad song. The one that I kind of forget about is Be the Same, which is
I wouldn't. Yeah.
I agree.
which is very weird to say about a closing track, which is supposed to close the album. But I think the album itself, just everything stands out so well, and I think that kind of didn't stand out as much as it should have. But hey, we got how many fucking tracks? Like 10 fucking like bangers.
Yeah,
I'm okay with one selling it a bit short.
It breaks my heart that the closing track has to be the one kind of miss on this album for me, because that's probably going to hurt it in my end of year rankings, because this album is incredible otherwise, I think, as we've all kind of echoed.
And we can also say fucking Heartbeat, which was one of the first singles released for this album, wasn't as good when it was released, and then in the context
I didn't care for it. I didn't care for it as a single, but in the context of the album,
so
it grew on me.
Yeah,
It's
there
really
were a
good.
lot of tracks like that on here. Like even Brand New Vision or A Million Pieces that I was initially kind of high on and then kind of fell off. Hearing them again with the album, it didn't make me save them, but it made me appreciate them more to the point where listening to the album, I feel no need to skip them because they're good where they are on the album.
Also, can we get into No One's Listening, where the
So
context,
good.
the context of it is just
Bro,
fuck
that
the ICE.
Yo, I felt
Yeah.
I felt so bad for laughing at that video, but like everything up to it was like I was like, where is this going? Like I don't understand. And then at the end, I like saw or like heard the dogs barking, like two people that looked to be of like Hispanic descent running, and I'm like, oh, I see where this is going. And then at the end, out of nowhere,
The fucking
the
title card.
screen goes black, and it just pops up and says "fuck ICE" on it, and I laughed.
I'm pretty sure
It's
it says
just abolish
so
ICE. I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, I was. It just came out of nowhere, and like, given the subject material, I felt bad for laughing, but like, it's just this pop up out of nowhere. But having gone back and like listening to the song again, it makes complete sense,
Oh yeah.
and I like that they were able to make a statement like that without going into something like "Stray for the Path." I don't know how much of "Stray for the Path" either of you guys have heard, or Jacob for that
Nothing.
matter. I think he'd be the only one that's familiar with them.
Saw them live once, wasn't impressed.
Yeah, they're very overtly political in their message and song titles and stuff like that. But you get something like this where it could easily apply to something like a relationship too for a lot of the lyrics. So when you get the context and you know what it is, it makes sense. But it's not overtly in your face political. It does it in a masterful way that's both very overt and also very subtle. And I think that it's probably one of the better executed politically charged tracks I've heard in a while. Not to mention that just in and of itself, the song's a fucking banger. I mean, it's so
Absolutely.
good. Probably my favorite track on this album, with
It's up
Distant
there.
following after.
I'm so happy to see that like we all appreciate Distant for what it is.
Yeah.
Because I was really worried that song would not get the credit it deserves.
No, it's so good. It's
It's
so
really
good.
good.
You mentioned that it was what Footprints tried to be and failed. I think that Footprints succeeded, in my opinion, and is
It's
a
what
very
Clean
good
It-
song in
what
general.
And should have been.
Or even then, even if we make the Footprints comparison, Footprints was great. This is just better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What you got,
this-
Jacob?
I didn't
Yeah,
listen
go
to
ahead.
this.
No,
Oh,
you're
man.
missing out.
You're missing out. You're missing out. There's two things I want to say before we move on, because I don't want to keep this thing going on too long.
Yeah.
I think it was a little strange to have both features back to back to open up the album. I don't necessarily dislike it. It was just I don't know. It just felt kind of off to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm okay
And-
with that because I think the features are a bit more well known than them. And if you front load the album like that, and then have the rest just be them in their own space, I feel like that's fine.
Yeah, that also, like, so there's that, which works, but then there's the other thing of, to me, right, and this is just my own perception, that features and songs, when you place them into the album, are meant to kind of act as an interlude of sorts, that they provide a break from just having that artist's material. So if you're going to do that, I'd say you either put them at the end of the album or disperse them through the middle, generally. But I gotta say that, like, here, it really didn't bother me that much. I thought the placement was fine enough, just because the features don't feel, I shouldn't say super prominent, but they don't feel like they overpower the song at all. So it still feels like you're getting into the rest of their material, and that material is their own, rather than those two singles being distinct, their own entities.
Last point that I want to make, we haven't talked about Nothing Left to Lose yet. I think
Oh,
that's another one of the
That's
standout
another
tracks
good
on
one.
this album.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Like you can just mention any song on this album and it's like, oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I mean,
pretty much any song.
even Be the Same, which it sounded like we were all in agreement that that was the weakest track on here. It's not like an objectively bad track, I don't feel.
Yeah.
It's just when you have 10 other great tracks, putting one at the end that's not so great, it feels a little jarring. But this album and the next one we're going to talk about have really thrown me for a loop in the sense that I didn't expect either of these based...
I did not expect this album to be nearly as good as it ended up being.
Especially with the singles outside of No One's Listening. Like, I thought they were good but not great, and then I got this album, and now I really don't know what my top 10 is going to look like.
This has potential to make my top 10 in the
Yeah,
year.
August
this
has thrown everything for a loop.
Oh, absolutely. Let's move on then. We got a couple more albums to get through. This one's a little bit more of an oddball from what we usually talk about, but Unleash the Archers and their album Abyss.
Oh...
Yeah, before you guys get into your tangents, I didn't have time to listen to this one, so I'm going to sit this conversation out.
This is the one album that I expected like nobody to listen to. But Derek, I'm very glad to know that you listened to it, and I'm going to let you speak your mind.
Bro, this album, I finished it at 8:10 p.m., 10 minutes after we were supposed to start. And initially, I looked at the time, and starting it, I figured I would have enough time to finish it. But there were parts in this album that I went back and re-listened to so many times that I got put behind the initial schedule that I had. Like, we discussed this, or a single from this album last month.
Soulbound.
Yeah.
Soulbound, yep.
And my opinion on it was the vocals were all right. The instrumentation was great. I didn't need to revisit it again. And then because I undergo this thing where I listen to every album that comes out. So I figured this is the one that I haven't heard out of the list besides Poppy. And so I'm going to have to get around to it eventually. May as well do it now. And I am so blown away by this album and how it kind of came out of nowhere. Waking Dream and how it builds is...
Oh, we have the same idea here.
Yeah. It's probably...
What a fantastic opening track.
Yeah, it's, like, probably one of my favorite openers I've heard.
Albeit, it's a 3-minute long opener.
Yeah.
It's a long opening track, but it's so good.
Yeah, it doesn't work, like...
the pacing is so nice.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel too slow, it doesn't feel too fast, it comes across just right.
So, like, how To Better Days works as a transition between that song and Prayers... This song acts as a standalone that builds the energy for the opening of Abyss, which, alongside Soulbound with the opening note, are insane. I mean, the note that their lead singer hits is phenomenal. She is incredibly talented, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you know if she's doing the Uncleans as well? Or
I don't think
their
so.
other vocalist?
It's one of the other I
didn't want to assume because I've heard some deep ass female growls before, so I didn't know if this girl was going crazy.
I don't think she does it.
Oh my goodness. I looked at the fans also like once I heard that first note, and I'm like, shit, this reminds me of Elise from Amaranth. And then the number one fans also like on their Spotify page is Amaranth. So I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. The vocal layering in Return to Me felt very reminiscent of some of In This Moment's newer material, which is another album that came out earlier this year that I surprisingly very much enjoyed. The part of this album that kept me going back and caused me to delay my schedule was the insane 2-part solo in Faster Than Light.
Faster Than Light is the best song on this album, by far. I was going into this album expecting Soulbound to be my favorite, and then I got to Faster Than Light. Are you ever just genuinely impressed with a song? Because that's what I like. Like when you listen to Faster Than you it's a 5-minute song. It's long, but it is genuinely impressive. Like I am almost speechless talking about that song.
That first solo hit, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then it continued into the second solo, and I was like, oh shit. And then a 2-part breakdown hit?
Yeah. They took a power metal guitar solo and threw a chord breakdown in it.
That shit was crazy. Oh my good God, bro. That song, my mouth was open. I could not believe what I was listening to.
Yeah.
I put that on
Yeah.
repeat over and over again. I had to.
Yep.
It had to be done. It had to be done.
Oh,
And
I am so happy to hear you like that song.
I don't know how you felt about The Wind That Shapes the Land, but the progression in that, with it had 3 different tempo shifts and 4 guitar solos, which, you know,
It's an 8-minute song, so yeah.
America. But the 3 different tempo shifts reminded me a lot of the pacing for a song called Blackbird by Alter Bridge, which is probably my favorite rock song of all time. It blew me away listening to it. The way that they kind of created an ambience with the lyrics, and then they created literal ambience at the end with Afterlife. I audibly said they got a fucking orchestra, like out loud, when the end of that, or when the start of that outro hit. Like I was already floored by everything I'd heard, and then that came along, and I was like, dude, there's just no way. You can't be doing this to me. Like, I was not prepared. The way that they create this audible, I guess, environment for the closer to thrive. It's everything that I feel that a closer for this genre should be, and they nailed it. I mean, this is by far my favorite power metal album I've ever heard, and it's not even close, because it takes so many influences from other aspects of the metal genre while still staying true to the power metal genre itself. I do think that I think Carry the Flame is probably my least favorite song on here.
Okay.
Just because I wouldn't say it's slower pace, but there's less to it. It feels more of that generic structure that you're looking for, you know, verse, chorus, guitar solo, move on, from that you would get from a lot of power metal. But I had been given the 1-2 punch of Faster Than Light and The Wind That Shapes the Land. So I felt like that was a good breather for me, even if I didn't like the song as much. And then it prepped me for the masterpiece that was Afterlife. The instrumentation, amazing vocals aside, the instrumentation of this album is probably some of the favorite I've heard all year. It's crazy. It's so...
The guitarist for this band is absolutely fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
There's Legacy has this guitar drum combo at the start of it that is amazing. I mean, it's breathtaking. I've never heard guitars and drums work that well in tandem together. I mean, this album came out of nowhere and slapped the shit out of me, and then like told me to buckle in because it was going to take me on a ride, and God bless it for doing that, because I think the album itself is either 51 or 57 minutes long, and for me, it didn't feel like it. The way that each song is paced and the instrumentation that you get makes it feel more like 45 minutes, which doesn't sound like a huge break, but when you've got like 8-minute long songs that hold your interest the entire time, I mean, that's just, this was probably the biggest surprise out of all the albums that I heard this month. And
all right, I'm gonna talk about some of my opinions. You're making me question how much I should rate this album at this point. Like,
say this album speaks for itself. I'm done.
Contrary to you, I thought Carry the Flame was actually a decent song, and unfortunately, The Winds That Shaped the Land was a little too long for me to just... I kind of got bored of it, unfortunately. It was too long to keep my interest. I'm going to echo the sentiment on Faster Than Light being an absolutely incredible song. Like if I was a power metal fan, this is a top 5 album of the year free.
Yeah.
But I am not a power metal fan, so this is probably like... This is still a fantastic album, but I probably am not rating it as highly as it actually is. Like, in terms of, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, like, we mostly talk about, like, post-hardcore, alt-rock, hard rock, metalcore, that kind of stuff. We don't talk about power metal much on this show. But if you're ever going to check out a power metal album, it's hard to recommend anything else over this.
Yeah, and if nothing
it's
else,
hard.
Faster Than Light.
If you're going to listen to any one song off of this album, Faster Than Light, you will be impressed.
It's got enough choruses to make it something that I feel like blends over well into what we usually talk about.
Yeah. And I think that's going to about sum it up.
Yeah, I recommend.
Fantastic album. Let's get on. We are down to our last 3 albums, the last triple threat of the month. Let's start with the score and their album Carry On.
The trifecta of 4 elements.
No.
Can you hear me now? So loudly, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. Can you see me now?
No.
I hate how that has to be the title now.
I dislike everything.
Yeah, speaking of dislike, I don't know.
I think, speaking of dislike, let's hand this over to Justin real quick.
Bro,
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan.
really.
Yeah, not a fan.
So I'm on the polar opposite where I normally don't like much of what the score does. They're another one of those bands, like I mentioned earlier, on the precipice of being good, need something to put me over the edge. Having re-listened to all the songs from this that I thought might do it, they didn't. But that being said, I think that this is my favorite, like, between other EPs and other albums. This is the album of theirs that I've enjoyed the most. And while it did have some low points, I think it definitely had some high points too. And overall, I came away from the album not loving it, or even, I guess, liking some of its parts. But given my history or lack thereof with the band and then hearing some of this, I'm pretty happy with what I heard.
Now, for me, I went into this album with the expectations of their previous material. This is one of my favorite bands ever, and they've always had that traditional stadium rock sound to them. And this album is quite the departure from it. So when I first heard it, I was very unsure of myself when I first heard this album. Like, I wanted to expect more out of it than I actually got. For being a 15-track album, like, I feel like I shouldn't feel that way. But the more, like, once I came to terms with the fact that, okay, this is just a new sound for them, let me think of it on that wavelength, I really enjoy this album, bar, like, 1 or 2 songs. The more I listened to songs from this album, the more I liked them. I think Breakout has more of that traditional stadium rock feel, and is probably one of my favorites from the album. But then you have tracks like Carry On, which they're, I don't know how to describe it. Like, you make the reference to Imagine Dragons when talking to this band, because everyone on the YouTube comments for this band does. But songs like Carry On, you have that kind of more Imagine Dragons-esque sound. Songs like Golden, which admittedly I didn't really like it the first time I heard it. It's grown on me. It's a great song if you're ever in the car and you want to just stick your hand out the window. That's the kind of vibe it has. I am forever going to be conflicted with what I think of this album, and I think that comes with the fact that they put 3 songs from one of their EPs from last year on it.
That's what didn't sell me on it. I love their EPs more than I like this album.
Like, those 3 songs are all good, but they were my 3 least favorites from the EP they came from. But they're still good, and I would still rate them on the top half of most of the material on this album. So I think the fact that they brought in songs from an EP and then threw it onto this album is going to just make me question, like, how much do I actually like this album? Because it's made up of material from their older sound and their newer sound. And I'm just not going to be able to form a solid opinion on this.
Don't get me wrong, the
But I
songs
still think it's
are bad. As an album itself, though, it didn't sell me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the issue I had. Like, we get shit like Slaves and Point North, who orchestrate these very well thought out and, like, amazing tracks, and it just sounds like this album, they slapped 3 or 4 songs together and then tried to make a blend of something else that they wanted to do into their music, and I could not get into it.
Man, if this makes my end of the year top 10 list, I won't be surprised. If this doesn't, I also won't be surprised. That's where I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, I don't think it ever had any potential to make mine, unless they did like a complete 180.
Not that I expected it.
Yeah, unless they did a complete 180. But I will say this is probably the thing of theirs that I've enjoyed the most.
For the sake of time, I say we move on to something I think all four of us are a lot higher on.
Mm-hmm.
Noija have released their album Through Fire, All Things Are Renewed.
The boys are back.
Take a breath, I can feel you in my lungs.
Let's get into it.
Their original album, Colorblind, I listened to it. It was back in 2017, and oh my god, it was so good. And they released a EP of a couple of those songs produced live. It was also really good and wanted me itching more. And oh my god, I got more. So good. This album was really good.
I'm saving my opinions for last.
Uh-huh.
All right, Jacob, go nuts.
So, this album reminds me a lot of Imminence's "Turn the Light On" from last year.
Mm.
Not because the bands are both Swedish. That's just a coincidence.
Only because.
But yeah. So with Imminence as well, I was like, Quill keeps putting these singles in the Discord, and I'm like, they're okay. Then I get listen to the album. Fucking amazing.
Most of the singles grew on me when I listened to this album, I will say that.
Yeah. I even played this in the car for my brother, and my brother, he absolutely hates anything with screaming in it, anything. So he despises everything I listen to, basically. And we got to Bleak, and he's humming the riff.
Yeah, I was about to say, how does he think of like shit like Bleak or the second verse and Crawl Into My Skin?
Yeah. The only thing that I noticed from him was in Bleak, but
Yeah. I don't know. This is real
I'm
good.
still not
Yeah,
a huge
the
fan of the
emotion,
feature on
but-
Bleak, but it's grown on me.
the emotion in this album, it's a lot like Imminence, like I said. The emotion conveyed, I don't know how they do it, but it's amazing.
This is a lot of kind of the dark kind of very underlining tones of like depression and
Yeah.
like
A
abuse and
lot
everything.
like Imminence again.
Yeah, but man, you can tell they were hurting when they made this.
So I guess I'll say a couple things. Most of the singles did draw on me. I think especially Broken Glass. While it's still not in my playlist, it has it. I'm definitely not
Was-
as low
was
on
Broken
it as
Glass
I was when I
a
first
single?
heard it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. It's my favorite song.
Oh shit.
I see.
I was about to ask what your favorite song was, but hey, that answers my question.
Broken Glass grew on me. Runaway is still good. Crawl Into My Skin, I'm still on. Bleak is the biggest grower for me of the singles. For as much as I'm still not a huge fan of the feature, I've come to accept it, and I'd say almost like it. But I think the rest of the song makes up for me being unsure on the feature, because I don't know what the hell they do with, like, in the background. I don't... words. I just don't know what they do in Bleak. Like when they drop the first riff before the first verse, there's some noise that's so catchy and is still stuck in my head.
That's the one my brother kept
And-
humming.
Yeah, and that whatever that is makes Bleak as good of a song as it is. Like, it's honestly that without that like beat probably would not be nearly as memorable to me, but that elevates it to one of my favorite tracks on this album.
If you like that, you're gonna really like a lot of their first album, because it's a lot of that kind of melodic instrumentals. I think their vocals in their first album were kind of downplayed, just a little bit. I think I can't remember. There's one track. Hold on, I'm looking at Spotify. Find the Sound. Find the Sound is like a really good track you should check out after this, if you don't listen to that entire album.
Yeah, I'll get to that full album eventually for sure.
I'll hold you to
This
that in
album has swayed my
2023.
This album has swayed my opinion on this band for sure. I think the last thing that I want to bring up is Meaning to Your Pain.
Uh-huh.
We have somehow not talked about that song yet.
Uh-huh.
It's my favorite song on the album.
Oh, yes.
And I think it's the best utilization of the unqueen vocals in any song I've heard from
Oh,
them.
it's my favorite.
It works so well.
It's so good.
In that song, I want to bring up some lyrics that I really liked. Actually,
Go for it.
so I think it's in. It's okay. Why won't you leave this room? Painted in your shade of dark blue, you whisper inside me. Take a breath, I can feel you in my lungs.
Yeah. That chorus, just so good. And fuck, what was the unclean part? I can't believe I let you in to find a friend. Now you're stuck inside my head until the end, and you just spread the fear in me you never meant to let me see. I let you crawl into my skin. I can't believe I let you in. That was the unclean part, and it was so good.
Mm-hmm. I like how they like re-mentioned "Crawl Into My Skin." I think.
Yeah, I didn't catch on to that
until
until like my second or third listen of fucking 70 or something now. I like the song.
I think the last comment I'm going to leave this off on is, for as much as I like the opening half of this album, the second half of the album definitely dropped the ball a little bit for me.
No.
Particularly on the first listen, I found myself quite bored on the second half, in all honesty. But re-listening to it, definitely I'm higher on it than I was originally, but I still think the first half is the stronger.
You know what? I'm gonna give that to you because I was the same way on the first listen. I was kind of bored a little bit, and then when I re-listened to it, man, Rain just impressed me.
No, you're wrong, Jake. Broken Glass, Save Myself, and Rain are all in the back half. You're wrong.
I guess that's a good time to transition.
Well, hold on.
Wait, we haven't heard Derek.
Derek, come on
Bro.
now.
I'm not transitioning to the next
I
album.
kept my mouth shut for a reason because all three of you are much higher on this album than I am, and I don't want to tarnish anything. So I think I would agree. And again, I've only listened to it once, so I know my opinion could use some work. But I thought that the first half of this album was better than the second. I wouldn't say I felt myself getting bored on the second half. I just thought that it wasn't quite as strong. I know actively that I need to re-listen to this album a couple of times because I thought that it was a very good album. But outside of Bleak, which I already had saved, I didn't save anything. And the rest of the album all went into my Purgatory playlist where I put songs that I think I might like and revisit them. I don't have any strong opinions on this album other than the fact that it is good. I appreciate the subject material, and I think that as a concept album for what they were going for, it works very well. It's just not currently my cup of tea, but I know that as time goes on, that will probably change more towards me leaning that I very much like this album. But for now, other than what I've said and what you guys have said, I can't really add much.
I think I'm in a similar boat where I want to like this album more than I
Exactly.
do.
I'm gonna respect that, and I kind of agree. Again, yeah, on the first listen, the first half clicked with me much more than the second half. But I'm gonna recommend giving it, a couple more listens before you fully cement a position on where it's gonna be, like in your album listings. And also, if I can support this album, if you can, at least retweet it or something, because fuck, man, it sounds like these guys were hurting when they made this album.
Exactly. And I mean, even though I'm not as high on it on first listen, there's no denying the level of talent within this band. And
Absolutely.
they really deserve more recognition than they currently have. I mean, how many monthly listeners are they at?
They're a dream-bound band, and they sound like they're not.
I mean, 80,000, this sounds like something that comes from... this, to me, feels like almost in the same vein as Finding God Before God Finds Me from Bad Omens.
Yeah.
Interesting comparison.
The same sort of vibe, I guess, in the way that the instrumentation comes across. And these guys deserve so much more recognition than they have right now. I absolutely
I'd
they're
never heard
talented,
of this
no doubt
band
about it.
before Justin showed us.
Neither have I.
You're welcome. I blessed you.
But
You
looking
blessed
at
me
that
with-
band also, like, it
you
makes
blessed me
sense.
with imminence as well. So
Yeah, I mean, look at
The
that.
last thing I want to mention that we haven't touched on is the way that this album opens and closes with kind of, it's not, I don't, it's like,
sound clips, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
it's like,
clever as all hell.
oh, it's so good.
It sets up the environment and the atmosphere for the album so well.
Yeah,
so I actually
you-
have a complaint about
As
the
much
intro.
as like,
Really?
as much as
Too
like,
long?
It's too long. I think
Too
it's
long.
too long.
That's what I
Really?
thought.
Interesting.
I thought it was too long, but the instrumentals that were playing during the message kind of swayed me the other way.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like in the same vein as how Jake and I discussed Waking Dream from Unleash the Archers, how that served, even though it wasn't like an intro to lead into another song, it really worked to build the atmosphere and what you were going to get into. I feel like, though the lyricism throughout this album is evident what they're trying to convey, having those voice clips and how long the intro is at the start really gives you time to process and get ready for what you're about to go through. Because
Yep.
this album, lyrically, as far as the message goes, is going to hit you in the feels. And I feel like it works better to have the intro be long like that and have the outro have the same sort of vibe, but be shorter. And in doing so, I think that they are phenomenal bookends to this album. I wouldn't change it personally.
I think that's a wrap
Yeah.
on Noija. We got one last album. I definitely misjudged, but we were kind of close.
Yeah,
We were
ish,
kind of close.
ish on time.
Ish. A big asterisk on the ish.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the final album for this August recap. This crazy long mega episode.
Phenomenal
that
month.
It's turned out to be. From Ashes to New have dropped their album Panic.
I'll go ahead and start with mine because mine's short. It's kind of forgettable.
I agree.
I did cut a couple of singles here and there, like Brick and the title track Panic. Everything else kind of blended in.
Yeah, just give me my chance at the end to make fun of the album artwork, okay?
Yeah.
Go nuts. Go nuts. We'll save that for the
I'll do it at the end. I'll do it at the end.
It's a very
I
nice
think-
Instagram post.
This album brought From Ashes to New from a band that I thought was just like an average band to a band that's like decently solid. Like I didn't have too many expectations for this. I was expecting it to just be okay, and I was impressed on some of these songs. I think particularly on Side Effects and Wait For Me. Those two stood out a lot. Wait For Me in particular has grown on me more and more over the week since it's been out. And I definitely think of this band in a higher regard now.
Yeah, for me, the standouts, at least out of the three singles, would be Panic. And then from non-singles, I'm looking at Brick and Side Effects as the two, especially Brick. Brick has been on pretty constant rotation for me the past couple of days, whereas Side Effects has not. My thing is that the future, like the album, felt almost like a breath of fresh air for this band, in the sense that there was a lot of what I thought was good experimentation for them, and that if they continued off that sound, they would have a very good album, and that they would have found their footing with that album and continued it to this one. This one feels less like a continuation of the last album and more of the very basics of that last album put into something that feels a little more accessible as a hard rock act. That it's sort of in the same comparison to Siler, that the rap vocals and the clean, or I guess they're both technically clean, but the rap vocals and, for lack of a better term, regular vocals, right, where he's just singing, that they meld well together, and when they don't meld, even disjointed, they still sound fine, as opposed to the future, where in some places it felt out of place. But that it's all presented in a way that feels very much like Octane Fuel, And I know they were pushing for Panic to be on Octane, and I can't blame them for wanting more exposure. And if this is them experimenting with more of that hard rock sound, fine, whatever. But most of this album felt very forgettable to me. Not in the sense that anything was objectively bad. It's just that nothing outside of what I previously mentioned really stood out. Like, if you asked me to tell you what Bulletproof, Nothing, Death of Me, and Change My Past sounded like, I couldn't tell you. I
could tell you what Nothing sounds like because I've played it a few times, but yeah, the other four.
Yeah, it just
I can
doesn't.
tell you what Nothing sounds like.
Yeah, same. Sounds like nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not a bad album, but it's not a great album. It's an okay album from a band that I was expecting big things on, based on the direction and promise that the future held back in 2018. And now we're here, and I'm not super impressed, I gotta say. Not to discount the band members, because I feel like the sum of their parts are very good, and each band member has talent. But when you put all those parts together and you get the final product, it sounds kind of uninspired. Speaking of
Anyone else have
uninspired, Jacob, tell me about this art.
All right, so we got the guy on the. We're going to go from left to right, right? All right. So we got the
Yeah.
guy on the left.
let's
He's
go,
the
let's
only. He's the only good guy. He brought his mask.
Oh,
Right.
God.
The guy next to him, he forgot his mask, so he's covering his hand with his face. Second and third guy, he's pretending he's got his mask on, but he's pretending that he doesn't see you. And I don't know what the fourth guy's doing. He's thinking.
The third guy from the
Fourth guy
left,
just got photoshopped in.
the third guy from the left is looking over at the first guy like, "Oh shit, my mask."
The fourth guy is the person that shows up to the photo shoot 15 minutes late and's like, "What am I doing?"
Yeah,
here?"
exactly. They're asking him. They're like, "Okay, buddy, now point to your forehead." he's doing the head, shoulders, knees, and toes dance over and over again. They're like, "Oh, fuck it, now looks like a good time to take the picture." The second dude from the left looks like he's gonna move his hand down from his mouth and go, "Ah, hey girl, ah, how you doing? What would you do like if I was
Maybe he had a
quarantining with you?"
shaving incident.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he had like really embarrassing 5 o'clock shadow, and he's like, "Oh shit, can't let anybody see this. My mustache is still coming in, bro." And then we got Ninja Blevins on the left. Oh, bro.
I will say,
I think.
before we end this,
Yeah.
the Danny, the not the rap vocals, but the main vocals. This is his second album as part of this band. I
Sounds
feel
great.
I feel like this is the best that he has sounded.
Yeah.
Now that he's like gotten into the band and like fully embraced his voice.
Yeah, and again, all the members here sound good, especially the vocals. Like, I like the vocals on this album. The members here are talented, but what I'm getting is a lot of what I feel is uninspired music, and that's not what I want from this band.
I'm
Or
gonna
from any
write.
band for that matter, but
I'm gonna recommend, if anyone else thinks this album is forgettable, please go check out their Day One album or Day One Deluxe, especially the Day One album at the very least. That was a really good album, and the EP they put out before that, both of them featured their old vocalists, who the songs back then were definitely more kind of depression and like very kind of that kind of darker tone influence based. But like their self-titled EP and Day One, I heavily recommend those.
and I'd even recommend the future. Nothing they've done has been bad at all. It just, this feels like the weakest out of all of the material they've put out, which is not the direction that I wanted to see when they've not only had 4 albums out as a band, but also this being their second album, they've had time to settle in with their new clean vocalist.
That, and they're also topping charts with Panic. So it's like if the title track, this when it was
Yeah.
a single, they're topping charts with that. And if it's on an album that's kind of forgettable, like what does it say? Like if it's just there for charts.
And if this is the album, or if this is the direction that they want to take their music, then you know what, so be it. Good for them. If they're finding success in it and they're making the money that they want to make and getting exposure, that's awesome. But for me, this isn't quite the type of From Ashes to New that I want to hear.
I think
We did it,
that'll
guys.
just about do it.
Yeah. What a month.
That's it.
What a fucking month,
Yeah.
dude.
I mean, months out of control. We
Yeah.
will never have this much music.
We talked about more albums this month than we have in the last 3 combined.
Jeez. Are we? We're over 3 hours at this point, right?
Yes.
Yes.
By much?
No, actually.
3 hours, 7 minutes.
And yeah.
Oh, really? Let's go. That's
well,
so good.
Well, once I add the music in and post editing,
Oh,
probably.
yeah.
It's my timer's currently showing me 3:04.
I bet.
Close enough.
Yeah, I mean, we've
Yeah.
been gone to, what, like 2:45 before, so it's not like an extra 20 minutes
Yeah.
won't kill anybody.
Mhm.
I'm proud of us. We sort of kept it reined in.
Yeah. One last chill with the social media if you're still here. At Hivemind Radio on Instagram, at Hivemind Radio on Twitter, new Hivemind Radio on YouTube, Hivemind Radio Recap on Spotify. You can find us on Anchor too. Let's just do a couple closing thoughts. I don't want to keep this too long because we're already 3 hours. But
August,
what a month August
good
was.
month. Good
Yep.
month. Great
Good
month for
month.
music. Good singles,
I don't
great
know if
albums.
we're gonna have another month. I don't know if we're gonna have another month like this for the.
I doubt it. I think the rest of the year is looking pretty barren outside of September and October, which like obviously won't be as much as August, but there's still some
Yeah.
releases.
Mm-hmm. I also want to point out that amid all of this music that I was expecting to hear, I discovered, I think, more new bands this month than I have in a while.
Yeah, this
If I've discovered, oh shit. I can't pull up my Spotify thing because it's
Unleash the Archers.
I'm probably already dead, but no, I've known about Unleash the Archers
Oh.
for a bit. But Justin, you sent me Leave, period.
Yep.
That band. Discovered them.
Falset.
I
Oh, I'm so
discovered-
excited to talk about Falset next
Yep.
month.
Yep. Falset. The Static Wake, which released an EP that I know, Derek, you weren't super high on. I'm
Yeah.
not incredibly high on it either, but that's another discovery that I think was solid. Stateside, which we managed to talk about in the show. ERRA as well. Loveless, which I've known about, but I didn't really get into them up until this month. Makari. I got into a lot of new bands this month, and I can say that most of them were pretty good. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, even for me too, I was able to find a lot of new music for like singles that we didn't talk about that came out that I didn't think anybody would be interested in. But even like going back and catching up on the playlist of stuff that I have to listen to later, like going back stuff from July and early August and even mid-August to an extent. All this new music that's come out, this summer has really produced a lot of good music despite July being kind of quieter.
Yeah.
Or June,
sure.
I mean, I guess July too, to an extent.
And July.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, this overall, 2020 has been a very amazing year for music. Probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite of all time, which has been a blessing considering everything else that's been going on.
Yeah.
Having that much new music as an escape has really helped.
Mm.
I think I don't know what I was gonna say. It feels like we started this podcast in March, and it feels like all of the bands we've been talking about, it all culminated into this August recap.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there was we talked about 10 fucking albums this
Well, and
episode.
we've-
Like it feels like it all culminates here. And like I almost feel like September is gonna be like the start of almost like a new era of like we're gonna talk about a lot of different bands from now on.
Yeah, well,
Because like this was like closing the chapter to a lot of
especially because
stuff.
all the singles we've been talking about, prior, they've we've caught up to all the albums pretty much.
We don't have to talk about Solence anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that-
but
they
that
talk
also
about the
means we
Attitude
don't.
Era.
But that also means we don't get to talk about slaves anymore. So
Yeah.
Well, we still can. There won't be any new material
Yeah.
out. But we can.
We can still
Or
talk
whatever
about them.
whatever their new name
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I want a Slaves cover come October. I'm putting that one out there into the world.
And before we close it, because Jake won't do it, go watch his radio show when it comes back.
Yes,
probably
Oh, yeah,
within sometime this
absolutely.
month.
Absolutely. Go jam out to some tunes.
Remind me to shield that at the start of the September recap.
I'd like to take this time to tell you all that it is September on Twitch.
Yo, yes,
Yep.
sir.
Yes,
Twitch.tv/TobyCon. TOBYCONN. Go sub to him.
Support the Hivemind.
Yes, sir. Streams
make a
these
Hivemind
episodes. Also
Twitch.
does game content.
We need
Yeah,
a
I don't think we're
Hivemind
getting the
Twitch.
Hivemind Twitch, bro.
No.
I think Jake would we'd be here for another 4 months waiting for Jake to set up the Twitch.
I mean, we'll talk about it later.
No, we won't.
We're not going to talk about it. No, this is never getting discussed again. You know it. I know it. We all know it. Don't lie to the people.
All right. Any other final closing thoughts before we end
No,
off this?
that's all I got
for me.
crazy month. I think that's a wrap.
Thanks for
on
watching.
One of the craziest months of music we are ever going to talk about.
Absolutely.
If anyone is still listening to us for the trifecta,
The trifecta of the elements.
that was intentional. This
Yeah.
Sure.
And the first time wasn't.
the first one wasn't intentional. I swear to God. But this is probably going to be one of the craziest months we're ever going to talk about, and I've said that before. But if you've listened throughout this entire thing, thank you
know.
so much.
Well done.
Yeah. Well done.
You
Hey,
you have some mild tenacity.
It's like a rite of passage too. I mean, like, also too, like, we really do appreciate everybody who listens to this. Like, this is a passion project for all of us, and I know especially for Jake because he's putting in the effort with editing and everything, and I know we all appreciate that as well. But like,
Yeah.
the fact that we have any audience is amazing. I mean, just that
Yeah.
we get to talk about what we love, and that people want to listen to that and appreciate it and appreciate music as much as we do.
Mhm.
That means a lot. So thank you.
Yep.
And one final thing. I know we've said like final thing multiple times. We will probably be pushing out some of our own curated playlists in the next month or so. It's kind of a downtime before the
Yeah.
next podcast. So watch the Twitter for our separate playlist.
And Instagram. I'll handle
And
Instagram.
for
you guys
drunk
can do Twitter.
tweets.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah, from any given
That
member
too.
of the band at any given point, and by that I mean probably me and
Eric,
Jake.
Just call us a
but-
band.
Eric.
You just called us a band.
Wait, what?
You just said that.
We're a band.
You just called us a
Oh
band.
shit!
Oh no!
Any of the members of the band.
Yo,
We ain't a
yo,
band.
I'm doing
yo!
vocals.
I've made a mistake. I have no talent. Somebody please get me out. Get me out.
All right. One final thought.
Uh-huh.
Let's close the show. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for
We'll see you
watching.
next
Have a good one, guys.
time.